Vamos!
Because I can't wait to get to the latest on Jim Harbaugh, the Chargers head coach.
I would say that your description of him being delicious really is apt today. He has a delicious quote for you today.
I love it, too, because his former place, Michigan's about to get hammered by the NCAA.
Yeah.
Probably every one of their wins, including the national championship from last year, will be vacated because of Connor Stallions, which is amazing to me. And again, the NCAA just ballless like usual. No one cares if they strip a Heisman Trophy, if they vacate wins, because we all know who won the national championship.
Yeah.
Michigan was the best team last year. They won it on the field, and no one can ever take that away from them. But please, NCAA, move in and do your work because you're so good at it, right? Oh, we come in, we're going to send you our notice of allegations and all this nonsense, and no one's going to care. But Jim Harbaugh is a beauty. Great football coach. He's a kook, and he says some of the craziest, creepiest things you could ever want as a football coach.
Creepy is a good word for it.
Soundbite machine. He's already given like 4 or 5 doozies ever since he's been coached. He hasn't even coached a game yet.
Well, and his love affair with Justin Herbert is torrid. That's a torrid love affair.
I think, and again, I need to see how the season plays out, but I would be willing to make an argument that he loves Herbert more than Jim Nantz loves Romo, and that's saying something.
That is.
There was a true bromance. I just expect at some point Nantz and Romo to lay down and make love during a football game one day because they love each other so much. The fact that Nantz is willing to put up with all that quarterback's craziness in the booth is amazing to me, but he loves him. And Jim Harbaugh loves Justin Herbert. And why wouldn't you? You go to the NFL, you take on that job, you're in beautiful sunshine every day, and you have Justin Herbert, who is a prototype for the perfect quarterback, leading your team. That's not a bad way to go. And apparently he's a great leader off the field.
Yeah.
This latest one's a classic.
I think Justin Herbert can get you through life's ups and downs.
That's a good way to put it.
Thank you.
The best part in Harbaugh's comments, and they were crazy, and we'll get to it more, but he's upset that he wasn't with the team in this latest hijinks.
Yeah.
He was really bummed out.
I know.
Gosh, he's crazy. Oh, by the way, Jerry Jones, more classic from him. You give me Jim Harbaugh and Jerry Jones, and I'm good for life. They are the 2 best sound bites in all of sports.
Old Jarrah, he got a little profane, too. Now, that's not like him. And he's enough of a pro. He doesn't do that when he's got a live mic in front of him. But, yeah, we haven't heard audio of that. But if the transcript is what it's supposed to be, old Jarrah, he switched to a different personality there for a second.
I was a big fan. I've always been a big fan of – I grew up in Oklahoma, so I know the twang and the accent that comes from down south. If you're from Oklahoma or Arkansas or any place down south, I'm going to be down. So I like Jarrah. He sounds better when he uses F-bombs.
Yeah.
He can say it in a way that's not quite as offensive, even though it's offensive because of his accent. The way Jarrah says glory hole is amazing.
He's a good old boy. That's what they call him in the South. He's a good old boy.
I met a guy this weekend. His name is Thad. I met a guy named Thad. His niece is going to be an Oklahoma softball star, but I met him, and we started talking for a moment, and right away I recognized the twang. And he's like, I'm from Oklahoma. I'm like, get out. I'm from Oklahoma. He was born in the same town of Ponca City that my parents were born in.
Really?
Yes, and he's out here. He was visiting. Well, he's working. He's got some type of job with his company where they're doing work out in Hood River, and he had made his way into the Portland, Vancouver area. And so we were chatting it up a little bit. But the fact that he said Ponca City, I was like, you were not. I said, that's where my parents were born. I used to go there. My papa worked at the refinery there from Conoco. And so he lives just outside of Tulsa, close to where my Nana used to live. And I told him I grew up in Manford. He's like, yeah, I know where that's at. He was naming towns and little places that only someone with local knowledge would know. But it was cool. And he's a big Oklahoma Sooner fan. I went to Oklahoma State, but he's a Sooner fan. So we're talking some college football. And his niece is a big-time softball player who's going to be playing with the Sooners, recruited by Patty Gasso.
Okay, Chad. You just tripped something in my brain that I'd never thought about before. Did you ever have that Okie accent? Did you lose it? Or
I lost it.
Did you have it?
I had it when I was young, but then we've been away for so long that I lost it. Now, if I were to move back and start hanging out with my people again,
Yeah.
it would probably re-enter into my life. Oh, speaking of my life, by the way, let me explain this nonsense.
Yeah. How was your weekend?
The usual nonsense. So I have my car in the shop just getting some maintenance and different things done because I've reached that point where it needs some maintenance. And I'm not a car guy. Some people are car guys. They care about cars. They care about expensive cars. I have a very simple process for the cars I buy. Give me the car and the engine that will last as long as possible so I can pay it off and get some money back before I have to go out and buy another one. So I always go Toyota because the Japanese have figured out how to make an engine that is genius. So I reached this point. I'm like, got to get the regular maintenance, get some stuff done. So they were going to keep the car until today or tomorrow. No problem, except for this. I forgot to get and retrieve my golf clubs from my trunk.
Oh, no.
And I was supposed to play this morning, right? And so last night thankfully I realized last night, I'm like, oh, son of a bleep. Where are my clubs? They're in my car. So I freaked out and I thought, wait a second. They may not have the car locked up in the garage because they're still waiting for a part to come in to do some work. So I'll drive down to the shop in Hazeldale and see if it's parked on the outside. Then I can just pop open the trunk and get my clubs.
You got another car to use while your car's...
Yeah. How do you think I got here? Yeah.
I don't know. I thought maybe you had your car back.
I did not
I
use
haven't heard
Max.
the whole story yet.
I know. I don't have my car back.
Oh.
It's still at the shop. My parents have access to like 4 cars. They only use one. So I was like, hey, Dad, I need to bum a rig. No problem. So I'm rolling around in one of my parents' cars today. So I thought, well, I'll just drive down to the shop and then I'll pop the trunk and I'm good. So I get down to the shop and I'm looking around. I can't find my car. There's one car that is parked inside of the garage. It's got the windows on the doors that drop down. You want to take a guess at which car that was?
Yeah, it's your car.
Yeah, my car. I tried to pull open. I'm looking around, making sure there's no cops or whatever. I'm trying to like pop open the garage so I can get in to get my clubs because, frankly, all I care about was being able to play golf this morning. I couldn't get my clubs, and so I had to hit up my boys and say, sorry, but I can't access my clubs. It's a long story. I don't have time to text it to you. I'll fill you in when I see you on the golf course. So no golf for me today. So I was able to be very productive and get some other stuff done, but no golf.
You didn't have any old clubs that you've kind of not used anymore?
I do, yeah, but I'm not going to do that.
Oh, okay.
I'm so worried about losing my swing that I'm afraid if I pull out some jalopies and try to swing a golf club that it could screw me up. I'm not Bryson DeChambeau trying to buy the Walmart Junior set and go, kill it on the golf course. I just didn't want to jack with it. I told you I can't even watch a left-hander swing a golf club because it messes up my mind and I don't want it to affect my swing. I'm very, very crazy about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't need any of that stuff in my life. So anyways, on my way in today, I swung by the auto spot. I'm like, hey, I've got a car that's being worked on in there. Can I just get in to pop the trunk? And I roll in and I grab my clubs and get the heck out of there. Really annoying. Really annoying. I mean, I had one of those classic Chad meltdowns for about 2 minutes. And I was like, well, it's my fault. Nothing I can do about it. I guess I'm not playing golf tomorrow.
Yeah.
But that was a bitter pill to swallow. That was bitter. And then, of course, one of my knobby golf buddies hit me up, Glenn, and he's like, hey, we played in 3.5 hours. The weather was perfect and the course is in great condition. Hey, idiot. I didn't need to know that information, man.
Yeah.
Really didn't. So there you go. That was my weekend in a nutshell. The problem is that I'm so routine oriented that anytime something gets thrown out of the loop or I forget this or my car's in a different spot, it just screws everything up. Everything. It gets jacked.
I know.
I'm just
You're
saying.
a creature of habit.
Very much so a creature of habit. Other than that, looking forward to the week. My birthday's on Wednesday. We're going to be over at Clark College with our boy East Coast Earl, who is the dean of the culinary school.
I hope he's making you a birthday cake.
He is fixing some special barbecue for you. He told me
That
today
sounds
when I
great.
saw him to do the test connect, he said, let the Godfather know that I'm taking care of him. Yep.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. He said he won't have brisket, which you requested, but he's got some specialty barbecue for you. And if East Coast Earl says he's got barbecue that's special, I'm going to believe him. So we're going to be over there inside the restaurant of the school at Clark doing our show on Wednesday.
Yeah. As long as it's not something like really exotic. Like I don't want
You don't like exotic meat?
barbecued alligator or something
No,
like that.
it's gonna be-
frogs or something,
No, I think he said burnt ends and tri-tip.
Oh, I love burnt ends.
There you go.
Burnt ends are the best.
Yeah, we're not doing alligators.
Okay, good. Have you had burnt ends?
Yes, I have.
They're nice.
Last time I had alligator bites was at what is the name of that sweet restaurant? Oh my gosh! They had red beans and rice that were delicious, and It was the place that was underneath the freeway. I think it's still open. I think they have a cart. It was
Montage.
Montage. Thank you,
Do
Burkhardt.
they? I know it's
Montage
closed.
was
Do they have
badass.
a cart?
They have a
didn't
cart.
know
I
it.
think they have a food cart.
Yeah, it's right. It's down in my neck of the woods at the Happy Valley Food
Yeah,
Carts.
yeah. Nice call
Oh.
on the Montage. Used to go there all the time when I was bartending at
Yeah, because it was
Tom's.
open late.
It was open late. So after
yeah.
I was done at the bar, we'd roll over and go get some food. The red beans and rice were great, but Montage was awesome because it was a great spot and local. But one night I was there late, and I'm a big believer in this. If you roll into a restaurant like 10 minutes before it closes, you're an a-hole, and you need to rethink your life because that's not cool to do to the staff. And I remember one time all the cooks, and they were wearing like masks. They were crazy people there at Montage. These people rolled in like 5 minutes till the top of the hour, right before they were to close, and they wanted a seat to be fed. And all the cooks were booing them. It was like the most awesome thing I've ever seen. What restaurant would actually boo customers for coming in? But I was like, you know what? Those people deserve that.
They were famous for if you got something to go, they would use aluminum foil and fashion it like a swan.
I got a swan.
Yeah, that's right.
I had alligator bites with leftover beans and rice, red beans and rice in a swan.
I love their red beans and rice. Really good there. Yeah.
The last time I tried to fashion foil into a swan, it turned out to look like something not quite like a swan. Yeah. I have no artistic ability whatsoever.
That's funny. I was never at that place before 2 a.m., I don't think.
No, it's a late night spot.
Yeah.
But I love spots like that. And it was the first time where I went to a place where they had like the communal seating, right? Where you're seated right next to strangers.
Like a picnic table or something.
It's great. Yeah. What a great spot that was. And I love late. You and I have worked weird hours our whole careers, right? So. And I've always been like that. I've never had the 9 to 5. The last time I tried a 9 to 5, I was like, I'm not a 9 to 5 guy. I can't do it. But I like going out late and being able to get good food. Like I would hit the Nob Hill Bar and Grill a lot over there off 23rd. That was a great spot to get a burger. I mean, I got to a habit after I was done with Tom's. I would go try out all these different restaurants to hit later at night because Portland's got a lot of good local spots.
Yeah.
And I've obviously hit the Hot Cake House off Powell. For the late night food.
Oh, by the Ross Island Bridge there.
Yeah, which is a great spot. It's still there.
Is.
I drove by it the other day.
Yeah.
Give a little tip of the cap. NBA players have been known to hit that spot from time to time.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I used to go there a lot. See, I'm so glad Chris came up with Montage.
You and I were talking about it the other day.
We were, and Nancy and I were talking about it too because I think I asked her, and she couldn't remember the name of it either, but she was well aware of it. Everybody went there.
But Gator Bites were good. They actually taste really good. But again, when you grow up in Oklahoma, I've eaten things that are a little bit off menu.
Yeah, I bet.
But my favorite thing to do, we do this all the time when I lived in Oklahoma, we had the 20 acres, and I've told you about the pond that we had below the house. I would fish down there constantly, and I would never go down there and not come back with the fish. I was a pretty good fisherman. Little Chad was pretty good with the fishing pole. But the other thing we'd do is we had big bullfrogs. And I'm talking about big, nasty bullfrogs.
Oh, gosh.
I'd pop them with my Daisy BB/pellet gun, and I would drop them in the bucket with the fish, and I'd take them up to the house, and my dad would clean the fish, and my mom would clean the frogs, and I'd get frog legs. And I'm a big fan of frog legs, or at least I was. I wouldn't necessarily look for them now, but frog legs are pretty delicious. And the people that say it tastes like chicken, it kind of does taste like chicken. And Gator Bites are really good because you get good pieces of meat, protein packed.
Do you get them fried, I would assume?
You can get them fried, yeah. So there
Anything tastes better fried, actually.
Everything. Yeah.
It's not good for you, but it tastes better fried.
I haven't really had a fried dish that I didn't at least walk away with some type of satisfaction.
Right.
I can't think of anything, actually. I've eaten the fried oysters, the Rocky Mountain oysters before without knowing what they were.
Oh, God.
And they were good until I found out what they were. And I was like, I don't want to eat nads.
Yeah,
I can't do it, man.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works where you're like, this is really good. And then you find out what it is. And it's like, I don't need that anymore. Like my nanny used to make this bread that was really good. And then she told me it was zucchini bread. And I was like, I don't like zucchini. And then it became mental. And I didn't want to eat the bread anymore. You ignoring me right now?
No.
You reading something?
Yes.
I got the Godfather in complete ignore mode right now.
Somebody sent me.
We're trying to have a conversation, and he ignores me completely. You can start the bump. We're going to come back and talk to Justin Myers. Godfather, you're in an older generation.
I was ready to answer you, but
you didn't. That's the whole
somebody
point.
sent me a message indicating what I liked at a local restaurant, and I don't know how they knew that.
All right. I'm going to ask listeners to do me a favor. The Godfather, I need his attention during the show. Do not distract him with your YouTube messages, your X, direct M's, anything like that. Please. All right. On that note, we're going to catch up with Justin Myers. We got to get his take on what went down this morning. He had a Chargers-like experience, Godfather. Not quite like the Chargers, but he was bonding with coworkers he would never bond with before because they were stuck in the same spot. And now his mic's off. We're off to a great start on a Monday. You got the Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad. All right, so Godfather, as part of my weird weekend, I didn't sleep very well throughout the weekend, so yesterday I was dog tired. And it was one of those nights where I laid down in my bed and I fell asleep with my clothes on,
Yeah.
with puppy shots next to me, and I had the TV on and everything. I woke up at I can't remember the time I woke up, but I slept through the night in my clothes in a very unusual situation because of how tired I was,
Yeah.
which meant I forgot to turn my phone on. I have it set up to where I have a special ringtone from both Justin and Brendan because they work in the mornings. And if something goes sideways, I have my phone set up to where my phone will alert me if those guys call me because
Right.
that means something went sideways. Well, I didn't do that. And so I woke up this morning and I missed 3 calls from Justin before 7 a.m. And I was like, holy crap. But there was no text message and I hadn't heard from Brendan. So I thought, well, hopefully everything's okay. So I called Justin and he explained to me what went down. And that's why we're getting him on the show today, among other things. But he joins us right now, host of Rip City Mornings. It is Justin Myers. Justin, my friend, it sounds like you had a Chargers-like elevator experience with the rest of the morning shows here at iHeart this morning.
First off, good to talk to both of you. Hopefully you're having a better day than I had this morning. Also, glad to hear that you slept with your clothes on. It makes me feel a little bit better that I had 3 calls ignored this morning. So when you go to sleep with your boots on, it makes me feel a little bit better. Glad I wasn't in a ditch clinging to life, needing Chad Doing to rescue me this morning.
I failed you, man. I suck. I wasn't there. I did not have your back. I take full accountability for my mistakes.
Can I tell you, I'm just so glad, and I know that you had a rough day with your golf clubs, but I was so glad you did not golf today because I was like, if Chad is on the golf course and his phone is in his golf bag, I'm going to be so furious right now. So this morning, it's funny you mentioned the Chargers because I came into the show and I'm like, boy, that might be a fun opening topic because we've had some elevator issues in the building. Like Friday morning, the elevators didn't work at all. So I had to take the stairs, which is fine. But, there's nothing worse than taking the stairs when you're not anticipating taking the stairs. So it's like, all right, that'll be a fun topic. Justin Herbert, the Chargers, they got stuck in an elevator. I got to talk to Brendan if he's ever been stuck in an elevator. And so I get into work, hop up the elevator, go to the 3rd floor. I take a look, and we have a little pad there that hits our key fob that is electronic, and that unlocks a very strong, I found out, magnetic door. And the light that normally is there to indicate like red to stop, and then you hit the thing and it turns to green, the light's not on. And I'm like, this is bad. And so I go and I put my key card on it, nothing. It's dead. Lock is dead. Now, I know that there's a back door because Chad Doing has told me that I don't want to talk to anybody when I walk into the building.
True.
So I go up the back stairs where nobody else is, and I walk through the back door so that I can get from the door to the studio without any human interaction.
That's genius.
So I'm like, I'm going to hit the Chad Doing door. And I go down, walk around. This is all in the dark, 5:15 in the morning. Go up the back stairs. Yep, that door, no light indicator as well. That thing is dead. We have a 4th floor. You guys know about that. We have a 4th floor. And I'm like, well, let me just see. Maybe, I know there's no way down, but maybe if the 4th floor is working, there's a thing. 4th floor, dead. Everything's locked. I'm the first one in the building. And so there I am sitting not even in the lobby. I'm sitting in the hallway. And in trickles every other morning show host. And this is the part that I think you guys will get a kick out of because I think we've all been there. Where like you hit a button and like nothing happens, and then somebody comes in and goes, "Did you hit the button?" You go, "Yeah, it's not working." What does everybody automatically do?
They try.
Well, you're obviously an idiot. I'm going to hit it my way, and so I got to see every morning show host when I said, "Yep, it's dead. All the doors are locked. There's no getting in. That's why I'm in the hallway." Oh, let me try my key card because apparently, so they all tried them. None of them worked, and we got to hang out in the hallway for a good 90 minutes this morning while our engineer extraordinaire, Joe, who is fantastic, by the way, and I'm not going to say the way he got us in the building because I'm not sure how legal it is, but let's just say he got us in, and we finally got on the air. That was my morning.
All right, it's amazing. You know what I did during the snowstorm when the power outages were going off around town and no one was on the streets? I was worried because they were having issues with the key fob entry too. So I did this, and on the back side of the building, I propped open the door that's at the street with a rock, and I propped the door open that enters into iHeart with the rock. I didn't tell anyone because I know that's highly irregular, but I did it to make sure I could get in. But here's one I want to ask because, as Jim Harbaugh pointed out, you learn a lot from people during an adverse situation. So of the morning hosts from K103, The Brew, and yourself, who handled it in a way, who was the most angry throughout the whole process? Because I have an idea, and I just want to know if you can confirm my thoughts.
It was a tie between Tanner and myself. Tanner and myself were both dealing with a quiet rage inside because every host knows you have an internal clock, and you know exactly.
I'm supposed to be on air.
Exactly, you know when you are supposed to be on the air, and when that doesn't happen, it is a gut wrenching. Even if it's not your fault, which it was nobody's fault. And then there were others. There were others in the group who were trying to keep the vibes up. I was not receptive to that. As like I said, I was dealing with a quiet rage inside. I was maybe a smidge rude. I have apologized since because I was a smidge rude this morning. But I was not in the mood for jocularity. I was not in the mood for jokes. I was in the mood to kick a door down, which I was about 2 minutes away from. The only reason I did not kick because the front door is glass and it's a really strong magnet. But Chad, I think I could have kicked that back door down. I really think I could have got it, but I just saw the invoice that I would have gotten from our bosses.
But Justin, here's the thing. You think you were mad then? Wait till you find out that Chad told me they're going to dock your pay an hour for missing the morning. You're missing an hour of your show today.
That's right. You need to report an hour less of your work because technically you weren't getting the job done, man.
Yeah, you got an hour off and you're complaining.
I think the Godfather makes a great point. But here's the best part. You've probably seen the emails flying around. They're going to have another building power shutdown at 5 o'clock today, so we'll be working off generators. So just so you know, you might show up tomorrow and guess what? Key fob issue. I have a good idea. Let's have another 5 power shutdowns throughout the course of the week. Unbelievable to me.
All right. Well, Chad, I'll just let you know, and maybe you can relay it to our bosses. If I show up tomorrow and the key fob's not working, I am kicking the thing in. Yes. Door's getting kicked in.
Daniel LaRusso style, baby.
Yeah.
Just like his hand going through the ice blocks, man. Your foot can go through that glass. Who gives a rip?
Hey, exactly right. And you know what? Just like Mr. Miyagi said, it's not here, the muscle. It's not here, the brain. It's here. It's the heart.
That's
right.
You know what?
At iHeart, I have the most heart, and I could put that door right where it needs to be.
Walk left side, good. Walk right side, good. Walk down the middle, squish, like grape. Yep,
just like grape.
All right, Justin Myers is with us. A lot of different things we want to get into with you. In fact, let's just play this audio from Jim Harbaugh. We want to get your reaction to it. The Godfather wants to get your reaction to it. But here is Harbaugh on his squad getting stuck in an elevator, and it sounds like Harbaugh is really upset that he wasn't a part of that whole process. Take a listen to this.
It was a shared experience. I think 11 or 12 of our players were there for about 2 hours, and that's a shared experience. I mean, brought them closer together. I just missed it, being on that elevator, and it's like, I wish I could have been there with those guys, But Justin Herbert was, and the remarkable things that came out of it was, to a guy, Tarheeb, young rookie player, it's like, wow, Justin Herbert's a leader. I mean, he was a rock. Kept everybody calm, and Jerry Fouts told me the same thing. Pulled me aside after they got out, and just how great Justin was. Justin Herbert, his hair was a little wet, but his shirt was completely dry. That's another thing that.
Is that not great or what?
His shirt was completely dry. Think about this, guys. Think about the hundreds of hours and the thousands to tens of thousands of dollars that these guys spend evaluating quarterbacks, the hours upon hours of film that they watch to try to evaluate these quarterbacks that are coming from college to the pros or that are already in the pros that they might want to sign, and the weird questions in the interviews and everything else. Turns out, stick them in an elevator, see if their shirt's dry. That's how you find out. That's the Harbaugh method. Forget all the film, forget all of the personality tests, forget the Wonderlic. Let's stick them in an elevator for about 35 minutes, and let's just see if his shirt's dry.
It's amazing. It's truly amazing. I just love Jim Harbaugh. Dwight and I think he's a kook and yet a great football coach all at the same time. And the crazy comments that are coming out throughout the course of camp let you know there's going to be a wild ride in L.A. with the Chargers.
So let me ask you guys this. Let me reverse this this interview real quick because I've always had this theory. R.I.P. to Mike Leach. I always liked Mike Leach, but I always felt Mike Leach was kind of putting on with his. I think a Golden Bear could beat a Bruin and a Pirate. And I always thought he was kind of putting on because he never wanted to talk about football in press conferences. He just wanted to coach football. And I think if he acted a little goofy as to who would win between a Cougar and a Husky in a fight. And then he would get all these weird questions that once the press conference was over, he wouldn't have to talk about football. I always felt like Mike Leach was kind of putting on, like sly like a fox. And I always kind of felt that way about Harbaugh. But more and more, now that I continue to keep hearing him, he takes his baseball glove to baseball games still. He's obsessed with Judge Judy, the TV show. Guys, I don't know if he's putting on. He might be the real deal football guy. Like, I don't know if he's putting on.
Justin, we are both convinced that this is him. This is really the guy. And that is, I told Chad today, I wish I had a friend like that because it would be so much fun. You would laugh with him and you could also laugh at him. It would be it would be a pleasure to have a friend like that. I think everybody else thinks he's crazy.
And a side note, too, Judge Judy's hot. I'm totally down with Judge Judy.
Wow.
Yeah, wow is right.
Dude, I love her, man. There's nothing better than Judge Judy just taking control of her courtroom and letting fools know when they're being fools. I love it. There's nothing better than that. I could watch Judge Judy with him all day.
I don't know if I would say Judge Judy was hot, but Judge Judy is entertaining, and I always love that show because in 90 seconds I could tell you who was going to win the case and who was going to lose, and it was the person who couldn't shut up. It's like quit talking.
Yeah.
You're digging yourself a hole.
Why are you interrupting Judge Judy right now? Do not disrespect Judge Judy in her courtroom, man. That's just not right.
But no, I think I always kind of thought Harbaugh was kind of putting on an act and like, I'm just a big goofy football coach, but. I think it might be him. I think he might be the real deal, which I think probably why his players play hard for him. He wins everywhere, and I think that's why maybe some rules might get overlooked at certain colleges because he's just like, I don't care about rules. All I care about is getting the football across the goal line by any means necessary, and this is my only job.
Hey, Justin, with Oregon this year, we know that the expectations are sky high, and they're third ranked in the country going into the season. But what is your overarching biggest concern for the Ducks as they get ready for a brand new season?
Expectations. There's two concerns. One is Aaron Fentress and I were talking about it earlier this morning. Like, there's maybe 2 or 3 seasons in the last 25 years where the expectations for Oregon were as high as they are right now. Kirk Herbstreit picked him to win the national title on College Game Day on Saturday, along with Desmond Howard. So 2 guys on College Game Day picked them to win. Now that doesn't mean anything. You don't hang a banner for getting picked, but it's not nothing. It's a pretty significant status symbol when you look at where Oregon was in the mid '90s as the plucky little team out west, and now you have got legitimate national title expectations. This is a program that hasn't had that year in and year out. The Georgia coaching staff, the Ohio State coaching staff, those guys are weathered in terms of dealing with what Nick Saban always called that rat poison and dealing with those high expectations. What happens when you get into a tight game? What happens if maybe, God forbid, you take a loss? There's only been one undefeated regular season in program history. How do they bounce back? How do they handle those expectations with landing the coaching staff? And then the other thing is something I've talked about a ton, but it's kind of gone unnoticed. Like, you're going to a new conference, right? You are not going to be familiar. There is going to be an adjustment period going from the Pac-12 where maybe not Dan Lanning and maybe not the players, but you guys both know the support staff, the athletic department, they could seamlessly take a team to Arizona State, to Cal, because they've been doing it for 100 years. Now you got to go to Purdue. And that shouldn't be a big game, but it's still a weird game. You got to go to Wisconsin. You got to go to Michigan. There's going to be a Big Ten kind of adjustment period, and I think that's the other concern. Do you think you're just going to wander into the Big Ten and in year one win the thing, or get to the Big Ten championship enough to get into the playoff? That's the other concern I would have going into the season.
Okay, Chad tells me, and I think you mentioned it to me once too, how much money you could make off those Ohio State tickets that you have. And he also told me that you're going to probably keep him and go to the game. This is something I don't understand here. You have a chance to make some pretty serious money, I would guess.
$6,000 to be exact.
Oh, my gosh. You are crazy. It's better on TV than being there. And you got the place outdoor. Have your tailgate in your backyard. It'd be perfect. Go inside. Or you can stay outside. Watch the game. Yell as loud as you want. The neighbors won't care.
They won't.
Oh, my God.
Dwight, I'm going to add you to the list of people who think I'm nuts, which, that list is long, but I would hope distinguished. But
you're not a lesser of a fan by taking the money, dum-dum.
That's right.
Okay, I bought these tickets for the Ohio State game, dum-dum. This is why I bought the tickets. Now, I didn't know these tickets were going to be going secondary as high as they are right now, but I bought the season tickets knowing that the Ohio State game was on the schedule.
What?
Going 2 games, and I know what you're saying, Dwight. I know what you're saying.
That doesn't mean you can't change your mind.
Plus, you can pay off the DirecTV package you bought for the NFL ticket, and your wife will be happy.
Yes.
Well, that's paying for itself, Chad, because I cut the cord on cable. I've already explained that math to the wife, right? Was that?
That's true, but you bought it without telling her first, though, which was dumb.
It was a 10-day free trial. I could have canceled at any time, okay?
Yeah. That was the selling point, but you bought it with the intention of keeping it.
And she probably doesn't know how many streaming services you've already signed into.
There's a lot of them. It was astronomical.
You got to remember, we're dudes too. We know how the game's played, man.
Yeah.
They got to do this, but not mention that, and it'll all be good.
But I mean, all right. Here's the thing. I know that, Dwight, when you say it is better on TV, I would say for 95% of sports, the game is always better on TV than being at the game, especially football, because there's not a view, even the best view in the press box is still not a better view than you're going to get watching the game on TV. However, in that 5%, like a big time top 5 matchup, to me, there is no experience as a sports fan that is better than being at that game in that atmosphere. And it's just that one chance. Now, if they get their doors blown off, I'm going to be real mad about this. But
if they
Oregon
lose,
it's going to sting. It is. But I'm rolling those dice. And you know what? You can call me crazy, but you know what? I've done crazier things.
Is the best atmosphere up to this day the Michigan game in 2003?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I would say for a non-conference game, there were I still say 2009 Civil War, where Rose Bowl was on the line for both Oregon and Oregon State, and it was a Thursday night game, and Oregon came all the way back from that dreaded Boise State game to start the season, to end the season with the Rose Bowl on the line against the Beavs. To me, that's still maybe the best atmosphere that's ever been at Autzen Stadium. But for a non-conference game, 2003 Michigan was that was a different level.
All right, Justin, I think that's all we got for you. We appreciate your time, and thank you for navigating the choppy waters this morning.
Okay, also, for my choppy water navigation, can you save me some burnt ends? Can you just a couple? Can you just throw a couple of burnt ends in like a to-go box? There's a little fridge there in the back, by the coffee machines at the studio. Just throw me a couple burnt ends.
If you sell your tickets, I'll give you burnt ends, as many as you want.
I could buy so many burnt
Don't
ends.
make this mistake. Come on.
I can buy my own pit smoker with the money I can make off these tickets.
You like the burnt ends too, huh?
Oh, I love barbecue. Is my one snobbery, Dwight. I am a simple man, but when it comes to barbecue,
I've never seen
I am
barbecue as a snob.
Oh,
Barbecue's a snob thing? Is that right?
You're a snob. I will admit that, but you're a good snob. You're the type of snob I want to hang with.
Thank you, Chad. That makes me feel better. Yes, I love barbecue. You say line it up. Italian food, Mexican food. What's number one? Oh, good barbecue. Number one on the list.
All right. Justin Myers, ladies and gentlemen. He may or may not be on at 6 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's hope for the best. Let's hope I don't have to kick down a door.
All right, buddy. We'll talk soon.
All right, you guys are the best.
All right, there's Justin Myers. Insane to be able to get $6,000 off those tickets and not.
I can't imagine that.
What would you do, Burkhart? You'd take the money, right?
Oh.
He is a duck.
I am a duck, and I get what Justin's laying down. I mean, this is a special game. I'd want to be there. I'd want to be there.
I know you want to be there, but if someone offered you $6,000 for a pair of tickets to the game, what would you do?
In my current situation, I'm selling them and then asking, getting
Inflation,
a media credential, and then just going and standing in standing room only.
I mean, that's the thing Justin could do, too. He could sell
I
'em.
know.
I'm just telling you, my Sun Bowl experience was enough to know that, like, you can have the best of both worlds as a media member. All right, we'll keep things rolling. We're going to come back, and we're going to play a clip just to kind of set the mood for football season. It's amazing how, after time, you realize how much you miss certain people, Godfather. Some guys are irreplaceable.
That's true.
And this guy behind the mic, irreplaceable. All right, Rip City Drive. By the way, we're going to announce the winner of the Take Me Up to the Ball Game contest at 5. I've got the winner in my hot little hands. Can't wait to announce it at 5.
Yes!
You got the Rip City Drive. All right, Brendan Slaughter from Beavers Edge is going to join us coming up at 4:20 to give us insight on the Beavers naming Giovanni McCoy, their starting quarterback. A lot of people thought Ben Goldbranson, with his experience, might get the job, but it's going to be McCoy. And my guess there is that Oregon State and their offensive staff looking for more of a playmaker at that position.
Yeah, I think he's a guy probably who gives you that dimension of being able to run the football. He is experienced. He's actually started more games in college than anybody else on their, in their quarterback room. So it's a guy with experience at Idaho, I believe, or Idaho State.
Idaho.
Yeah, okay.
And they're going to play Idaho State this weekend.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting because I kind of thought Ben Goldbranson, with his experience there, might get the nod, but I think they want somebody with a little higher ceiling, maybe a little more explosive. It's going to be interesting to see how it works out.
Yeah, I feel bad for Goldbranson just from the standpoint that he's been a part of the program. He stayed in during difficult times, but he continues to get passed over, and that's okay. Some guys are just better in a backup type role, and you're right. He has limited tools to work with, and Oregon State is looking for answers at that position and being able to score points, which is going to be critical for them. So we'll talk with Brendan Slaughter coming up at 4:20. We'll announce the winner of our Take Me Up to the Ballgame contest at 5 o'clock. So if you entered to win, make sure you tune in at 5 because we're going to announce the winner, and then that person will get a trip to Seattle with 3 pairs of tickets, courtesy of the Seattle Mariners for the Rangers and Mariners, and also a 2-night stay in the Emerald City. So it's going to be great. We'll announce the winner coming up at 5. And at 5:20, we're going to break down Mike Sando's latest report on the quarterback tiers, from Tier 1 all the way down to Tier 4. And when I look at Tier 1, I agree 100%. There should be no question in anyone's mind, if you think about the best quarterbacks in football, who the top 3 are. I think they nailed it.
Well, I just like Mike uses a great process for determining these tiers. And he talks to so many people inside the league who really know. And I think that's what legitimizes his list every year.
Yeah, that's why the quarterback money is so ridiculous. When I look at the top tier, the 3 guys who are in the top tier in the NFL, I'm like, okay, those are the guys who should be making $60 to $65 million a year.
Yeah.
Those guys. Everyone else that's making that type of money, but it's not in the top tier, it's crazy to pay those guys that type of cash because it hamstrings your team to be able to build as you continue to move forward, and we're going to see that. But we'll get to that at 5:20. But to prep you for football season, the Godfather sent over this little montage, which is terrific. John Madden was a beauty, and you don't realize how good you got it until it's gone. And John Madden, he was really the first of the guys. There's a lot of characters now that are in the broadcast booth to try and bring personality and their own way of doing things, which is fine. But John Madden was the first to do it, and there were a lot of people who didn't think it was going to work, but he continued to press forward and created his own style and became beloved by so many football fans.
Chad, don't you think he kind of opened the door for the goofballs?
He did.
There's been a lot of people have tried to be him, but they're not even close.
He made a way for so many guys to be able to do the job, because before John Madden, sports back in the day, they were all, very buttoned up, straight and narrow.
Yeah.
And they did a good job, but there was not really any personality. These were guys who came on, they gave you the information, they called the game, and they just left it at that. They let the game speak for itself. And then all of a sudden you get John Madden, who was a unique personality. And he spoke, even though he was ungodly rich, he spoke like the common football fan. And I think that's the way he was able to connect with everyone, because he spoke in a way that people listening would be like, yeah, I agree with that. I know exactly what he's talking about there. And he would bring up things that people would notice that no one else talked about.
He was the common man, I thought.
Yeah.
He was like the guy sitting at home on the couch with a beer watching the game.
And unique because he wouldn't fly anywhere. He had a massive fear of flying.
Yeah.
And so he had the Madden Cruiser that would take him from city to city every week to do games.
Which was cool.
Very cool.
Everybody watched that and thought, man, I'd like to have one of those.
So let's whet your appetite a little bit. Here's a nice little montage of John Madden being, well, I guess John Madden. Take a listen.
See how heat does come out of the top of your head? Look at it, just coming off at Nate's head there. That's where it escapes. If you have heat in your body and you want to let it out, you take your hat off. You could have a barbecue on that. Go through this. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, everyone knows that. Here. This is a father bucket. This is a mother bucket. And since the last game, They had a baby bucket. It's at sea level, so this field is always going to be wet, and it's going to be heavy, and it's going to be loose. See, because if you see, here's the water right here, and here's the stadium right here, and somehow this water comes underneath and gets in there to the stadium. Yeah, there's old Fetch Monster, Pat. We got him on the clicker, see? He comes in to get the tee. He misses, but he comes right back. And he jumps on that thing, gets the tee, takes it back to the sideline. And see what it is it's a tethered blimp. See this here? It's tethered. These lines hold it still, so it stays there. This means nothing. That's the camera. That's the thing that you take the pictures with. So they have to have a tethering thing. See, that's a tethered blimp. You shouldn't know words like tethered. Now, here's the camera. Now, look, right in the middle there is someone that just says, I want to watch your game here. So the bug just comes there and he says, I'm going to get a good shot at this game. I'm going to stay right here. I don't care what you do or what you say.
There you go. The great John Madden, in only the way John Madden can explain things. And
That's
remember,
what you take pictures
good words
with.
You should know.
That's what you take pictures with. That's the camera. Okay, a camera. You take pictures with a camera.
All right. We're going to keep things rolling here on the Rip City Drive. Finally, when we come back, we get a chance to talk about Jim Harbaugh and his latest comments on his team getting stuck in an elevator, and then that will lead us to giving you the Jim Harbaugh greatest hits so far in the season, which hasn't even begun. It's a growing list of greatest hits. This guy's on fire right now.
I can't wait for the regular season because he's probably going to be better during the regular season.
All right, Chris Burkhart's here, Dwight James is here, and I am here. So we're happy to be with you. We'll get to Mike Sandoz, quarterback tiers at 5:20. We'll talk Giovanni McCoy with Brendan Slaughter at 4:20 here on the Rip City Drive. Yeah, 4 o'clock chat here. We start with college football. The Oregon State Beavers have named their starting quarterback. Idaho transfer Giovanni McCoy gets the nod. He'll be under center Saturday when the Beavs open up their season against Idaho State. We'll talk with Brendan Slaughter at 4:20 on that decision. CeeDee Lamb got paid. The Cowboys star agreed to a new 4-year deal worth $136 million. It includes a record $38 million signing bonus for a wideout. It also comes with $100 million in guarantees. Juju Smith-Schuster has agreed to terms and is back with the Chiefs after a 1-year hiatus in New England. After losing Uchenna Nwosu for at least 6 weeks with a knee sprain, the Hawks have acquired Trevis Gibson from the Jags for a 6th-round pick. Hawks will open up their season against Bo Nix and the Broncos September 8th. The Pats coach Gerard Mayo said Drake May has outplayed Jacoby Brissett, but no decision has been made on a starting quarterback. The Pats will open up their season in Cincy against the Bengals. We will announce the winner of the Take Me Up to the Ball Game contest for the M's at 5 o'clock on the Rip City Drive today. All right, Godfather, you were sharing a story before the show. I think it was in New Orleans. And the question was very simple. Have you ever been stuck in an elevator? I have not. You have, and this ties into the Chargers debacle over the weekend, getting stuck in an elevator, and Jim Harbaugh being very upset that he could not be with his team during that bonding moment that he called it. And we'll hear from Harbaugh in just a moment. But where were you stuck in the elevator? How did it go down?
I was at a nice hotel right about a block from Bourbon Street.
Yeah, so nice that their elevator broke down.
Yeah, and it broke down kind of halfway between floors, so you could see the floor above you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we were in there for an hour, and there was a phone in there to use in case of problems. Of course, it didn't work.
How many people were in that elevator?
I was lucky. There was only, I think, 3 or 4 other people, and they were not panic type people. So we didn't have any panic, and we were only stuck for about an hour. But an hour was a long time.
That's an hour too long to be stuck in an elevator.
And my fear, Chad, was that somebody would come along and say, we can't move the elevator, but we'll open the doors on the floor above, which hit us at about neck level, you know? And so what we were going to have to do would be pull ourselves up and then climb out that door.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get over the feeling that if I tried to do that, all of a sudden the elevator would start when I was halfway in that door, and it would cut me off at the waist.
Yeah.
And so I pretty much made up my mind. If they say that, I'm just going to say, no, I'll just sit here and wait till you get this thing moving. I'm not going to do that. There's just no way. And these guys, the Harbaugh guys, the Chargers, apparently had to go out a panel in the ceiling of the elevator, stand on top, and get into another elevator from there. See, I wouldn't do that either. I'm terrified of those elevator, they're those.
You're talking about the shafts, the elevator shaft?
Yeah, the shaft. Those things, I'm sorry, they look like death to me. I don't want any part of that. I mean, are you serious? I mean, no way.
It's very James Bondish to be climbing around inside of an elevator shaft.
Elevator shaft.
Hey, Burkhart, have you ever been stuck in an elevator? I can't remember if you said you have or have not.
No, but I was on the road covering the Blazers road trip when the Blazers got stuck in the elevator, which was quite the sight to see a bunch of 7-footers stuck in a tiny little elevator.
It turned out to be a good bonding experience for him too.
It was. They're so glad that they had leaders like Dame and Evan Turner, and Terry Stotts was very upset. He wished he could have been in there with them.
Yeah.
Maybe you and I should get stuck in an elevator together. That's what the show is lacking. We need to be stuck in that place together.
We would kill each other before we got
That
out
is
of there.
probably
Yeah,
true.
if you're ever stuck in an elevator, you're calling Shacker or myself or someone. You're grabbing the app and you're doing a pre-recorded segment from the elevator that we can air later.
True.
I call Shacker for everything. I'm not calling him for that because he would cut the cables and drop us to the bottom.
Probably. Yeah.
Well, I got you guys down. You wanted out of the elevator, right? Yeah, but I didn't want to die in the process.
Hey, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. Evan Turner might be the guy you'd want to be stuck in an elevator with, though, right?
Hey, absolutely. I tweeted at him after this Charger one, and because I remember he was the one. He was the leader. Remember, he had 2 granola bars on.
He had snacks.
Yeah, he took them out. He said, one of them's for me. You guys have to ration the other one. And that was when Dame didn't hear him say you need to ration it and ate half of it while everyone else was hungry. So, Evan Turner, yeah, if you're stuck in an elevator with him, at least you're entertained.
Yeah.
That would be me. I would have snacks with me,
You
guaranteed.
always have snacks.
I would
with
have
you.
nutrition bars. I could feed the entire group until we got saved.
That backpack of yours, you could survive a couple of days on that, couldn't you?
Yeah, I got vitamins. I have basic first aid. I have Advil in case you have a headache or some back pain. And I've got snacks. I've got everything you could possibly want inside the backpack.
I think you even have some of those wipes, right?
I have wipes in case you need to wipe. I have chapstick. I've got everything you could possibly want. Hand lotion. I've learned that I don't like to leave home without it. So I just take everything. The wipes are genius. You never think you need wipes until you need them, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm glad I have those with me.
See, the best reason to be stuck on the elevator with you, Chad, is because, you're like me. You pay for YouTube Premium, so you're going to be entertained too. No commercials, right? Everything's going to be fun.
Are
I
you
hate
sure you
people.
can get that service in an elevator?
You might get
Yes.
lucky, okay?
I have watched YouTube videos in the elevator before.
Yeah.
Plus, I have downloaded videos at work offline, so I can watch videos at any time. If you're not paying for YouTube Premium, I don't know what the heck you're doing out there. Just pay it. It's like, I don't know, $12 a month, and you get commercial-free videos as much as you want. And you get to play it in your car when you have it connected to Bluetooth, and if your phone goes dark, it still plays and doesn't stop. All the little advantages of that $12. Could be the best $12 a month I spend every month. I'm just saying. Anyways, let's listen to Jim Harbaugh explaining it only the way he can. And I think what I love most about this clip, Godfather, is that you can tell he's genuinely disappointed that he wasn't a part of it.
Yeah.
Like Jim Harbaugh wanted to be stuck in the elevator with his guys.
Wants to be one of the guys.
It was a shared experience. I think 11 or 12 of our players were there for about 2 hours, and that's a shared experience. I mean, brought them closer together. I just missed it, being on that elevator, and it's like, I wish I could have been there with those guys, But Justin Herbert was, and the remarkable things that came out of it was, to a guy, Tarheeb, young rookie player. It's like, wow, Justin Herbert's a leader. I mean, he was a rock. Kept everybody calm. And Jerry Fouts told me the same thing. Pulled me aside after they got out, and just how great Justin was. Justin Herbert, his hair was a little wet, but his shirt was completely dry. That's another thing that.
It's amazing to hear him talk about Justin Herbert. Now, I do know, according to reports, Dan Fouts and his wife were on the elevator.
Yeah.
Who's Jerry?
His wife.
Oh, Jerry is his wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jere, I think. Yeah.
Is that how you spell Jerry for a lady?
Well, that's the way she spells it, I believe.
All right. So I didn't know who Jerry was. That's Dan's wife.
Yeah, I believe so.
That's pretty cool. Was Fouts sweating? Was his shirt dry?
There's no report on that, and he didn't mention it. I watched that game, a lot of that game, and I never heard Dan mention it, actually. I might have missed it. But.
Oh, this is great right here. According to WFAA.com, a total of 15 people were inside the elevator at the West End Hotel in downtown
That's
Dallas
a big elevator.
on Friday night in advance of the Chargers' Saturday exhibition against the Cowboys. Either that or it was a small elevator with 15 people in it. That's probably more the case. The Dallas Fire Rescue Team found that the elevator was stuck in a, quote, blind shaft.
Oh, good.
Whatever that means. Somewhere between the 3rd and 15th floors of the hotel.
Could you narrow it down just a little?
This is great. The Chargers announced in a statement that each person in the elevator was assisted one by one through the ceiling panel and into an adjacent elevator. They make it sound like these are all like senior citizens being assisted through the elevator. Those football players probably had no problem jumping up and pulling themselves out.
Right.
They assisted Justin Herbert through the shaft to make sure he got on the proper elevator, or did he just climb up there himself and jump in? I don't know. It's kind of weird.
But I don't get it either. I mean, how did you get in the other elevator? Because the doors wouldn't have been on the side of that elevator. I mean, those things run parallel. They don't run facing each other.
No, you got to jump and leap over.
over the, was it?
You have to jump through the blind shaft. So you're taking a chance when you leap from one elevator to the next.
I'll pass on that. No, thanks.
All right, let's take a listen to Harbaugh. That's one clip. genuinely upset that he was not on the elevator with his team.
He
when they
made
were
it
stuck.
sound like they were in a foxhole during a war.
Let's take a listen to Jim Harbaugh. Keep in mind, he's only been the coach since, the last 5 months. He hasn't even coached a game yet, and he's already got a hit record. Here he is talking about not apologizing when asked about the latest allegations against his former program at Michigan.
Yeah, I do have a comment on that. Never lie, never cheat, never steal. I was raised with that lesson. I have raised my family on that lesson. I have preached that lesson to the teams that I've coached. No one's perfect. If you stumble, you apologize, and you make it right. Today, I do not apologize.
All right, so he's not apologizing for anything that went down in Michigan. Here he is talking about injuries. He apparently does not like to, what was he categorizing? He does not categorize.
Right.
Take a listen to this.
There's no injury there. We're with Rashawn.
It's not something that's he wanted to keep playing, so
Little thing.
Huh?
It's a little thing.
I don't know. I'm not going to categorize it. I'm not going to categorize it. What it is or what it is not. I'm just telling you, you're going to see quite a bit of that as we go through this first stage.
With Rashawn, though, we saw him leave practice yesterday, walk into the facility with trainers, and then you and Joe went over
You
and
saw
had a chat
JK, you
with
saw
Mark.
Khalil. I don't know if did you see?
Yeah, I saw Josh
Yeah,
Palmer,
yeah.
Hayden. But so Rashawn is the same as those guys, or it's a different situation?
Yeah, I'm not even categorizing it.
There you go. He doesn't categorize, which means he's going to be a real pain in the ass during the season when the injury report comes out.
Yeah.
Here he is talking about Angels, one of my favorites.
Great. It felt like the music should be playing.
And this is about Justin Herbert finally being back out at practice.
Yeah.
Great. It felt like the music should be playing. I thought I heard music.
Kook.
Voices of Angels, maybe. It felt great. It felt great. Yeah.
How much of just a morale boost or excitement is that for the entire team?
I was excited. I think they would be excited too. I don't know if they heard the Angels sing like I did, but they might have.
How do you look?
Good, really good. Looked great, capital G, like no drop off, pinpoint accuracy. Looked really good.
Great with a capital G.
He crazy, Chad.
He is crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah, here he is talking about glide theory, making. Let's just take a listen.
It's kind of a cool game, fun game. I like to play to make it competitive. Call it red zone lockout, where put the ball at the 25-yard line, five series max, and if the ball starts at the 20, 25 and it's stud tempo, but if the ball gets spotted inside the 10, then it turns into live football.
When did you get this? Did you always approach training camp this way in terms of the glide approach that you talked about, or was in your coaching career, was there something, an injury or something like that made you have this approach?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the analogy of a rocket taking off. I mean, and then before you know it, boom, or a plane going down the runway. I mean, it starts at a dead stop and then it builds up speed, gets faster, going so fast that it just has to leave the ground. And then, I mean, there's a little bit of a glide that takes place even then. And then before you know it, you're up to 30,000 feet.
Have you always had this approach to camp? In terms of taking it easy?
Glide theory came in 2012, August of 2012. That was invented, named. Yeah.
Where did it come from? Did you just where you just created it, or did anything happen for you to begin the glide theory?
I mean, mostly came. I mean, humility prevents me from saying that it came from me, but it. Me and my dad, my dad, Jack Harbaugh, we went back and forth and
Jack Harbaugh.
and came up with that and named it.
So going back to the red zone, inside the 10, it was going to be.
That guy's a classic.
That file you're developing on him, by the time he's done with the Chargers, you're going to need more bandwidth for that file because it's going to be huge.
Just him using the sound effects on the rocket taking.
Yeah.
I think he believes every crazy thing that he says.
Oh, yeah.
He's not normal. He is an eccentric weirdo who's a great football coach. I love everything about him. Even when he's lying about the Michigan allegations, I still love that too. I don't know what to say, Godfather. I just know that he is going to continue to produce great sound bites. It may not be one singularly great like the glory hole stuff from Jerry Jones, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But he's that good. I mean, he and Jerry Jones alone are a soundbite machine. And the thing is with players, they'll put up with the nonsense as long as you show them how to win, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's all that matters. You just got to win.
Yeah, well, he'll have solid game plans, and they'll work, and they're going to have success. You know, anytime you have success, you don't have to explain yourself. You just do what you do.
Do you like Harbaugh?
Yeah. I think I kind of do. Yeah, I liked him when he was with San Francisco. And when he was with the 49ers, Chad, I had no idea he was this crazy.
Yeah, he is. He's absolutely.
I think that's a part of leadership is to have some of the guys that
this soundbite, if Harbaugh can reach this level, then we'll be talking
have
about
gone
something.
before that have been disappointed to share it with everybody involved. For me, it's a reminder. I, too, have been here 23 years. And it is a reminder. I've been here when it was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. And so having said that, I want me some glory hole. So I have that perspective.
Thank you for your perspective, Jared.
Yeah, Google it if you need to. Oh, my.
He wants him some glory hole. Thanks, Jared. Really appreciate that. I wonder how he's feeling right now after paying CeeDee Lamb all that money. Waiting and being dumb and now having to pay CeeDee $136 million with $100 million guaranteed. Isn't that incredible?
$100 million guaranteed.
Yeah, with $38 million signing bonus.
The NFL's changing a little bit.
And now he's going to have to pay Dak a whole load of cash.
Oh, yeah.
And good luck paying Dak $60 million. That is brutal for Jera. That's what happens when you hesitate. You know what they say about he who hesitates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loses money. You're not just lost, you've lost some money.
Oh, I love it so much. Thank you, Jim Harbaugh. He's going to be like this throughout the year.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, God help us if they win a championship. I don't know what he's going to do. He'll go to a place I've never seen before.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of angels singing if that happens.
Humility keeps me from saying I invented the glide theory, but it was him. But he gave credit to Jack Harbaugh. I love how he said his name, Jack Harbaugh. Like we didn't know his last name was Harbaugh.
Well, yeah, it's like he's a celebrity too, Jack Harbaugh.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. All right, Brendan Slaughter's coming up next, Beaver's Edge. It's always good to talk some Beav. We got to get the latest on Giovanni McCoy and the decision that was made for the starting quarterback spot. Feels like a Friday. It's Monday, Godfather. I love that. Godfather's taking off his headphones. He's out on this. All right, so we'll talk Beavs. Giovanni McCoy named starter, Brendan Slaughter, Beaver's Edge. And then they've got the list out for the top home field advantages in college. Where does Oregon rank on that list, and who's at the top? We'll tell you. right, joining us right now is a man who covers the Bees for Beaver's Edge and also a member of our team here at iHeart with Justin Myers in the morning. It's Brendan Slaughter who is back. Hey, B, I appreciate the time. And the reason why I bring it on is pretty simple. The Beavs have named a starting quarterback. Dwight and I were down at camp last week watching practice and had a chance to watch all three of the guys who were in the competition. They've named Giovanni McCoy. I think you indicated to me that you had a chance to win the job a couple of months ago. What's your take on the decision?
Yeah, it definitely caught me by surprise, and I appreciate you guys having me on. Happy to talk some ball with you. He wasn't my pick to win the job, but I think, you kind of look at how that decision came to be. We heard from Trent Bray today, and he said that the last week is when that quarterback job separated. And you think about the last time we all saw practice, they closed down practice for a week. And he said McCoy had made the throws and also made the plays with his legs to kind of give him a leg up. As far as what we saw throughout 3 weeks of camp, it was kind of up and down play from all three guys. You'd see spurts of good play, then you'd see a whole handful of, turnovers or, just bad decisions. And it really seemed like in those first 3 weeks and really after the second scrimmage that we saw that no one really went and seized the job. And then behind closed doors, it looks like this week, McCoy did win the job. And I think when you get down to experience, the fact that, Giovanni McCoy had a couple successful seasons at Idaho, and you look at the, quality of a lot of Oregon State's opponents this year, I think there's a real belief that his skill set will help them in a largely Mountain West schedule. So the move caught me by surprise, but I see where they're going with it.
Let me ask you this. You talk about his skill set. Maybe tell people exactly what that skill set is. I assume, and I watched him a little while we were down there, and it looks like runner and passer, and maybe a better passer than people thought. Tell us your assessment.
Yeah, I think I need to see more of him as a passer. I think kind of for the most part in camp, we kind of saw, a very limited sample size. We didn't see the guys push the ball down the field a lot. But that being said, he seemed to be pretty accurate in the short game as far as being able to target the tight ends, target the running backs out of the backfield. And it really did seem like, from what Bray was saying today, that his legs probably made the difference in the QB competition. I mean, from what I were able to guess right now and how the depth chart broke out, it was probably between McCoy and Gobranson as far as, the final quote two. I think Jabari was kind of on the outside looking in a little bit as camp went, just from his youth and, kind of inexperience at the spot. And I think ultimately, McCoy being a little bit better in the games that he's played in, and then having that more mobility aspect. I mean, Gobranson isn't a statue in the pocket, but McCoy is definitely a lot quicker. And I could see the Beavers looking to do kind of some zone reads. I could see them trying to get him to extend plays and, kind of be able to be that guy who can, scramble around back there and make decisions, on his feet when necessary. I mean, this was a guy who had, almost 300 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground a year ago, in addition to, his passing yards. So I think he's a solid dual threat. I'm just very curious to see what this Ryan Gunderson offense looks like, because we've only kind of seen it in a practice setting, and it's still largely very new to a lot of us.
Brendan, I know a lot of people had concerns with all the turnover and the loss of Jonathan Smith, but after Dwight and I being down at camp last week and having a chance to talk to Coach and then talking to some of the players, I feel a lot better where they're at as a group getting ready for this season and this brand new schedule than I ever thought I would be after talking to them. What's your take now as they get ready to kick off the season?
Yeah, I think they pivoted really well, Chad. I mean, you break it down, right? It's never going to be easy to lose a quarterback, like DJU, running back like Damian Martinez, linebacker like Easton Mascarenas, so on and so forth, all the guys that kind of departed, moved on, or what have you. But you just got to credit to the work that Bray and his staff did, in that period after Jonathan Smith left and, basically the end of the signing period. I think they pivoted well, got some solid guys out of the transfer portal. I mean, you look at, the offensive line, there's a pair of guys that are going to start from Colorado, and, Dion didn't want them. So Trent Bray was like, I'm more than happy. So, you talk about two guys that come in with, a ton of career starts between the two of them. They kind of help, even the offensive line with Josh Gray and Grant Stark back. So I think, you start with an offensive line that's got that many starts in between them. That's going to be a good starting spot. They, despite losing Martinez, had a couple really good backs in Jam Griffin, Anthony Hankerson. So that's going to be something like we've seen the last couple years, a strong run game. Wait and see what's going to happen at receiver. Obviously lost some faces there, but added some nice pieces. And then defensively, you may have lost, solid pieces out of the front seven, but I think this is where you kind of got to credit, Bray and his staff for being able to add, key pieces like, impact guys in the defensive backfield, a couple key linebackers. And then, you also got to credit the previous staff. Unlike, previous coaching transitions where Oregon State's cupboard was left completely bare, this wasn't quite the case. There was still some talent left on this roster. And I think Bray's done a good job, cultivating that talent and adding in some nice pieces from the transfer portal. And you look at one of them who now was named a starting quarterback. So I think so far, the offseason results have been, like you said, better than expected, because when Jonathan Smith left and Braid came in, it wasn't exactly a, all rosy time for Oregon State. So I think in the months since, they've kind of quietly calmed things down, and I would expect them, with the schedule they have, to have a decent season.
Okay, Brendan, you mentioned Gunderson, the offensive coordinator, who's very well thought of, I think, as an offensive mind, a young coach. Do you have any feel at all now? Are we going to see a spread, like a Chip Kelly spread, maybe some design quarterback runs? Is the quarterback going to be under center once in a while? Do you have any idea on what they're going to run, how they're going to look?
Yeah, good question, Dwight. No, I think it's going to be more spread than we've seen from an Oregon State team.
Yeah.
And back in spring, and we talked to Trent Bray, like, what's going to be the biggest differences with the offense? And he kind of joked and was like, the quarterback's going to be under center a whole lot less, and be in shotgun more. And I think when you look, Dwight, at what Ryan Gunderson's primary influences have been as a coach, he spent time with Brent Brennan, obviously at San Jose State. And they run, kind of more of a spread-ish attack. And then obviously spent time with Chip Kelly, where you're doing more of a spread focused on the run and then opening up the pass. So I do think that, and then obviously you go back a little further, his coaching acumen with Mike Riley and him as a player was obviously more pro style. So I do think Gunderson has a really great kind of broad coaching, diversity, as far as being able to have multiple different playbooks and things that he likes. That being said, I think it will be more spread this year based on what we've seen in camp. There weren't a whole lot of times the quarterback was under center. I think that they're going to go quick when they want to go quick, slow it down when they want to slow it down. But the biggest difference that I think you'll see in this offense in general, it will be less 4 to 5 step dropbacks from the quarterback, waiting 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds for these long developing plays downfield, as opposed to more quick reads, maybe, tight end screens, wide receiver screens, quick action over the middle. I think everything's just going to be a lot quicker in this offense, rather than maybe letting things develop and open up.
All right, Brendan, we've looked at the schedule and we've talked to even Phil Steele. They see this team being able to scratch out, 6, 7, possibly 8 wins and reach a bowl game. I mean, what's your outlook for the season?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good mark. I have them about, if things break right, I could see an 8-9 win campaign. If, things maybe don't break right, maybe it's closer to 6 or 7. But, you look at the schedule, guys, and, just right away, you've got Idaho State. That should be a very winnable game. San Diego State, it's obviously on the road, but, that's a team that's down from last year. Oregon and Purdue will be 2 tough games. We'll see what happens there. Then you kind of get into the meat of the schedule, and you got, Colorado State, Nevada, UNLV. Those are games that, Oregon State could and should and potentially could win. You got a toss-up game at Cal. That's going to be a tough one. San Jose State, Air Force, a couple more winnable games. A game against Washington State at home that's winnable. And then probably a pretty tough 9 a.m. day after Thanksgiving game in Boise. So, I do think that 8 wins is a solid, realistic group or number for this group. And, maybe it's a situation where you only lose to, maybe it's Oregon, Boise State, and you drop one game you don't expect, or, maybe one of the Mountain West teams that isn't expected to be good is. But I think when you look at the talent, like, at least in the immediacy, this first year of this quasi Mountain West schedule, this is where Washington State and Oregon State will have an advantage, because at certain position groups, I think mainly like the offensive line, you still have, quote, what used to be Power 5 talent as opposed to Mountain West talent. So I think, depth and talent is going to kind of show itself with Washington State and Oregon State playing a large Mountain West schedule this year. And I do think they'll have a favorable outcome in most of their games. You know, there will be some tough ones, but I don't see why 8 wins couldn't be a realistic mark for this team.
All right, Brendan Slaughter. By the way, we just need to confirm the information that Justin Myers was giving us. How cool of a customer was he when you guys were locked out of the building between the hours of 6 and 7 a.m. when he was supposed to be on the radio?
Yeah, he seemed like I would Justin was kind of like a teapot, right? It was starting to get a little warmer and a little warmer and a little warmer. And you know, I'll have to say, fellas, you know, 5 years now in radio, one of the more bizarre mornings I've ever had. The just ability to get locked out and have, you know, the brew crew, the K103 crew, and all this just in there being like, well, eventually someone will come to help. So yeah, it was quite the interesting morning. But
And that's coming
glad
from
we
a
made
guy
the
who's had to
best
save me from I-5 twice.
of it. See, my mornings are just they're adventurous, fellas. What can I say?
It's terrific. He's the one and only Brendan Slaughter from Beaver's Edge breaking it down for us. Thanks for the time, buddy. Good luck tomorrow. By the way, there's another power shutdown coming up at 5, so good luck getting in tomorrow.
Appreciate it, fellas. Thanks.
All right, there you go.
True facts, by the way. Yeah.
All right. Look, there's no question, Godfather, that the Beavs need a long-term solution for which conference they're going to be in.
Yeah.
But at least for the short term, I mean, credit to Trent Bray and the work that they've done and the schedule that the school is able to put together. And I'm telling you, you get to 7 or 8 wins in a bowl game. Good gracious, how good would that be considering how dark it was when they were left behind by the rest of the Pac-12 schools?
Yeah, I think they're making the best out of a real bad situation. And I think they're doing a smart thing. They're not committing to anything right now. And they're going to wait and see what the changing landscape of college football looks like. Who knows 2 years from now what other changes might be made and something might open for them. You just never know.
I think McCoy probably was the right choice. Better playmaker, more experience.
Yeah.
And I think what you need in a time of transition when you have so many new players, new coach, new coaching staff, having someone that's been there and done that with the experience, I think could be very helpful.
Yeah, and, you know, when you look at their schedule, you'll say, you know, they're playing teams that aren't too much different than the teams he's played against before. You know, he's not going to really be in awe of the talent he's seeing for the most part. Now, yeah, discard the game against Oregon and probably the game against Purdue. That's a different story. But most of these teams, they're not going to be overmatched. They're going to have a fighting chance against all those Mountain West teams.
All right. Beavs going to kick off against Idaho State. And the Ducks are what you guys looked it up, 44.5-point favorites this weekend?
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't a lot more than that, Chad. I think it might be 44 at halftime.
No question about it. What are your concerns about the Ducks this year, Chris? Is it like Justin, the expectations?
Yeah, I think the expectations are a little worrisome because you don't want the wheels to fall off or something like you said earlier, like especially with that Big Ten schedule, like what's the game that you trip up on that you shouldn't have tripped up on, right? So if you have a game like Florida State had against Georgia Tech, you know, against Wisconsin or something like that, I think people are just going to lose their mind because they've put such lofty expectations on this team. I think the other concern would be Dylan Gabriel. I mean, looking back, I love the years we got out of Bo Nix, but I think that was, you know, people had a little bit of apprehension there too. Like, okay, we know there's a little bit of talent there, but how good can he be? And Gabriel comes in with a ton more hype, I think, than Bo Nix did. So, yeah, there's a little bit of hesitancy there because I want to see what we got with him.
Oh, Gabriel's going to be freaking awesome. So it's weird. Oregon State plays Idaho State. Oregon will play Idaho. We know they're the Vandals. What was the nickname for the Idaho State squad?
I think it's Bengals.
Bengals.
Because, you know, there's a lot of Bengal Tigers over there in Idaho.
Like 0?
Yeah, probably.
And what is a vandal, by the way? I know what a vandal is here in Portland, but what's a vandal in Idaho? The same thing?
Probably, yeah. Somebody's breaking into your car. Painting graffiti on the side of your barn.
On the side of your barn.
Well.
Dude, one of the worst times in my life were when we were building that house in Oklahoma. My dad was building the house. And so we sold the other house we were living at in Salt Creek, and then we moved out to the country on that 20 acres with the great pond. We had to live in the barn next to the house until the house was completed.
Wow.
And the worst part about it is that the barn was, it was a big barn that my dad built for himself, but that bugs could get in. And so one of the big things we would do every night was do a sheet sweep to make sure there were no scorpions in the sheet.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
They have scorpions in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is my brother would often, I always wore socks, as we've exposed on the show.
Yeah.
But my brother was barefoot. And one time he was running up the stairs and stepped on a scorpion and it stung him. And it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen because he's like, and he's like hopping around. They sting. The scorpion stings are not good. And because they got the long tail and they're creepy looking with the claws in front. They're disgusting creatures. I killed many scorpions during my days in Oklahoma.
So you're living in a barn. Did that mean you had to go outside to relieve yourself? Did you have
I did.
Outhouses?
I always preferred as a youngster peeing outside. But there was a toilet in the...
there was in the barn? Huh. Did you have animals in there, too, at the same time?
No, the animals came after the house was finished. We had chickens. I got some ducks. We had a golden retriever, Nicky, that was one of the greatest dogs of all time. I had my cat, Tiger. But the chickens and ducks were the main thing. I had a horse named Charlie, which you know about.
Yeah, Charlie.
His end was very sad. Luckily, I didn't really know what was going on when my dad took him for a long walk, and he did not come back with him.
He was a victim of gun violence. Yes.
That's pretty much how that went down.
Oh.
If I would have known at the time what my dad did to Charlie, I would have lost my mind. But apparently now he gave him a proper burial, though, so that's nice. But sad. He got sick.
That takes a big grave to bury a horse. Oh, man.
The great thing is, when Charlie would actually let me ride him, there were so many places to go in the open country. I could just get lost out there. It was awesome.
How old were you when you were riding that horse?
7, 8, 9.
Wow. He's a big horse, too, I bet. You needed help getting up on that guy.
I did, yeah. I needed help saddling him up, too, because like I told you, he would get mad at me sometimes, and he would purposely expand his stomach and chest so I couldn't saddle him up. And if you didn't get the saddle on, I've ridden a horse where the saddle slips. You can fall off a horse. That's not good.
No.
But when Charlie, if I fed him and gave him sugar cubes, he would let me do whatever I wanted. But if he got mad at me, he would try to brush me up on barbed wire and run me under a low tree. Like, he was temperamental. Good horse, smart, but you just didn't want to get on his bad side. That's all. My dad's like, take care of him. He's going to.
Wow.
You don't. That's Charlie's not a guy you want to upset.
Yeah, you're a young kid riding a big horse. Well, that was no pony, it sounds like.
Yeah,
he was a horse.
That's right. He was like, he was my Harley Davidson. He was my hog. Had to take care of Charlie.
But you were riding a Harley Davidson. Well, not a Harley, but you had, what did you have, a Yamaha?
A Yamaha. Yeah. A Yamaha 80 that my dad let me ride. My mom protested, but my dad let me start riding that thing at 6. That was it. My dad let me ride that for the first time. I was like, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread right here.
Yeah.
Had to put on the helmet and everything.
You grew up quick.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep things rolling when we come back. Jared Jones getting profane, Godfather.
No.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about glory hole. We're talking about more explicit terms. We'll talk about that next. All right, Godfather, you just tell me that the Greg Maddux doc is epic.
Yes, it is. Very funny. Very good. Very interesting.
Whose leg did he pee on in the shower?
Chipper Jones. I understand there were more victims than that, though.
Hey, Burkhardt, have you ever peed on your wife's leg in a shower?
What?
You don't need to answer that.
What is going on here?
That is funny. Sorry, Chipper.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, I love that so much. All right, Jerry Jones is back at it, Godfather. What's going on with Jerry right now? Why is he getting so temperamental? Is he upset because he's got to pay out big money to some of his star players, or what's going on with him?
I think he's tired of people questioning his ability to be a general manager.
You think that's what it is?
I do, yeah, because he's taking some heat, you know.
Well, you know, it's always weird because most sports fans will say, look, I just want an owner. They need to pay someone to handle the sports side of things and just stay out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds simple, but like people used to criticize Paul Allen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I come out this is where I come out on owners. If they're paying billions of dollars to own a team and then many more millions to run it
Yeah.
and to do whatever they can to make things go, if they want to get involved, shouldn't they be allowed to get involved? They're the one fitting the bill for the whole shebang, right?
Well, they're allowed to hire their own general manager, and if they decide to hire themselves, all the better. That's their prerogative, right?
I just feel that way. Like, yeah, I understand you might want someone to not be involved, but if they're paying for everything and they want to be involved, they should be allowed to be involved.
Yeah. So you got a general manager here in Dallas who seems to be costing his owner a lot of money by paying these guys late. But on the other hand, the owner is themselves. So, you know, nobody hurt but him.
I think that's what it comes down to. I think the deal with Jerry, and you brought up this point too, like I love Jerry Jones. I think he's great for the sport.
Absolutely.
He's one that's willing to comment. He goes on radio. He talks. He shares his thoughts. He's been brilliant for the NFL in terms of what they've been able to do with the NFL Network and many other things. He's a brilliant mind.
Yeah.
He's crazy, but he's great. But if you're going to be Jerry and you're going to make football decisions, we can evaluate you, one, as an owner, and two, as a GM.
Right.
As an owner, he's a smash hit success. The Cowboys are worth more than any other franchise.
Yeah, by far.
By far. So as an owner, he is number one. As a GM, I can make an argument that he's been awful.
Yeah.
With many decisions going all the way back to the time that he and Jimmy Johnson couldn't figure it out, and he pushed him out. And that probably cost him more than just one Super Bowl. They went to one with Barry Switzer and won it, but after that, they've been basically irrelevant as a football team for 30 years.
You know, that decision, probably the worst he's made in all the time he's owned that franchise. It's a terrible decision. Jimmy Johnson had it going.
He said in these latest comments, he was in a recent interview, he was getting frustrated with the comments about his job and his work as a GM. And he said, quote, "I've done it all. So I have an inordinate amount of confidence that, F it, if anyone can figure out how to get this bleep done, I can figure out how to get it done. I've been there every which way from Sunday, and I busted my ass a bunch. So basically what he's saying is like, he doesn't think anyone can come in and do the job that he's done. And really what it comes down to for Jerry is power. He wants to be in charge. He wants to run everything. And he doesn't want to listen to someone else make decisions for him.
I used to tell people all the time about Paul Allen. It's his toy, okay? If he wants to do it, he can do it. It's his money he's playing with, not somebody else's.
I think what happens for an owner like Jerry, and this happens with a lot of these owners, I think sometimes he gets too close to the situation, too close to the players.
Yeah.
A lot of it becomes competition in these negotiations, and he ends up on the wrong side of things because he can't see things clearly. A lot of times you need a personnel guy that can look at a situation clearly, which means they can sign a guy when you need to sign a guy, but most importantly, say no to a guy when you don't need to sign him.
Yeah, you brought this up before the show, and I think you're dead right. He gets emotional about some of his players. He has that attachment, and you can see it from his former players. Some of those guys just worship him, and I think that was a mutual feeling, and he can't let go of some of these guys.
And it's hard. I mean, that's the hard part for him.
Yeah, real hard.
And I think Paul was emotionally attached as well.
Absolutely.
You told me he loved his players.
Yeah.
Well, love and business sometimes can be a problem. And that's why you need the GMs who are paid to do a job that can look at things black and white, not allow emotion cloud their judgment. But he's never going to do that. If you want that from Jerry, that's just not his game. He's not going to pay someone to come in and run his team.
Well, especially not at this point of his life, Chad. I think he's going to take this all the way to the end. I don't think there's any question. Maybe 10 years ago he might have been tempted to hire a GM, but he's not going to do it now.
I like him, though. I hate the Cowboys, but I love Jerry Jones.
Good old boy.
I hate people telling me they're America's team.
Yeah.
Their fans are as obnoxious as you can imagine, but I respect Jerry Jones a great deal.
Absolutely.
How many other owners are willing to call into a radio talk show to dispute something the host is saying, which he did with Gavin Dawson? That is just mind-blowingly awesome.
The world needs more owners like that. Really. It'd be fun.
Instead of working behind the scenes to try and get a guy removed from his position because they made statements you disagreed with, he just called up to say, hey, I disagree with you. Here's my take.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's have a discussion about this. I think you're seeing it wrong.
Instead of going 5 years without speaking to the media? That doesn't work.
Not a peep. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the show. When we come back, we're going to announce the winner of the Take Me Up to the Ballgame contest. Yes! And after that, we'll discuss for a moment Ohtani and Aaron Judge, who are on fire.
Yes.
Aaron Judge is a freak, Godfather.
I think they both are.
All right, what's going on, my friends? It's now 5 o'clock. From the NFL, Pats coach Gerard Mayo said Dre Make has outplayed Jacoby Brissett, and yet no decision has been made on a starting quarterback. They'll open up their season in Cincy against the Bengals. The Seattle Seahawks will open up their season against Bo Nix. And the Broncos on September 8th, they made a deal today and acquired Travis Gibson to help out their pass rush from the Jags for a 6th-round pick. They lost Uchenna Owusu for at least 6 weeks with a knee sprain. Juju Smith-Schuster's agreed to terms with the Chiefs after a 1-year hiatus in New England. CeeDee Lamb got a new deal from the Cowboys, much to the chagrin of Jerry Jones. 4 years, $136 million, $38 million signing bonus, a record for a wideout, and $100 million in guarantees. And the Oregon State Beavers have a quarterback. They've named Giovanni McCoy their starter. He'll get the nod and be under center Saturday when they open their season against Idaho State. All right, we're going to announce our winner for the Take Me Up to the Ball Game contest here in just a couple of moments. So stay tight for that. Sit tight for that. This message comes in from Sean and Sandy. It says, Jerry Jones is the only owner who played Division I college football, Brother Chad. He knows more than most anyone in the office. Bill Belichick is a lot worse GM than Jerry Jones. Talk about the guys Belichick brings in. Brother Chad, no bueno, you guys. I don't know if that's true or not. I do know that Jera was a big-time football player, was a good athlete when he was younger.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I haven't looked through the list of owners to know whether or not they played Division I football. But that's
Well, Carolina was owned originally by a former Baltimore Colt, I think. I don't remember his name.
yeah, I haven't looked through the list.
Jerry, gosh, what was his name?
But I will agree with Sean. Jerry does have a background in football.
Yeah, he does. I don't know how much of a player he was in college, though. I think he was a teammate of Jimmy Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. But I think Jimmy played a lot more than Jerry did. I could be wrong. Jerry's not a big man, I'll tell you that. He's not what you'd think would be a former college football player.
None of the football players from back then would look today like anything you would think would be a normal football player.
Well, that's true, but he's not.
All right. Miranda has chimed in. By the way, I got a package delivery from Miranda over the weekend for my birthday.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to bring it in this week to read the card to you.
Was it ticking?
No, she was not trying to blow me up, although I was concerned.
Yeah.
But it is quite apparent that one thing she has delivered to me year after year after year is she loves all of the people I work with more than she loves me.
Oh.
More Travis, less Chad. More Dwight, less Chad. More Jason, less Chad. So anyone I work with, she's a much bigger fan of. So there you go. She says, Dear Skunk Vomit, good afternoon, Mr. Doing. Were you blowing it out, your unused, with the reference to Jerry Jones calling Gavin Dawson's show? Did that really happen? No, I was not blowing it out of my anus, as she wrote on my phone.
Oh.
That happened. Gavin Dawson hit me up after the fact. He was so blown away. And Gavin Dawson's been doing radio for a long time, but he actually hit me up. He sent me a text after the fact. He was doing his post-game show on his station down in Dallas, giving off some very strong opinions about the Cowboys and their latest mess.
Yeah, Gavin does that. Yeah.
Yeah. Jerry Jones calls into the show and was like, I want to talk to the host. And, of course, at first you're like, this is not Jerry.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Sure.
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of Jerry's trying to get on the phone down there. But it was Jerry. He called in and went toe-to-toe with Gavin, point by point by point. Now, what you've got to understand about this is that in today's world, here's what happens when people say things that you don't like. We have a lot of people trying to suppress free speech in this country. What they do is they don't come to you face-to-face. They go behind you, around you, through you, to contact your boss,
Exactly. That's what happens.
the company you work for.
Try to get you fired.
They try to get you fired or removed because they don't want you associated with the team or to be able to have that type of access, which is completely wrong.
The other thing they try is to take away your access, pull your credential. They try that all the time, too.
It's absolute nonsense. People silencing others because they don't like what they have to say. What people always forget is that the idea of free speech, it's to protect the speech that no one wants to hear.
Yeah.
That you're protecting the speech that no one wants to hear. I'm a big believer that you should be able to go on and share your thoughts, your ideas. And if you're critical, you're critical. Sometimes these teams do need to be criticized. I know that's hard to believe, but they do need to be
That's
criticized.
right. That's how change occurs.
Yes, including Jerry Jones, who we respect. You can respect a guy and still criticize him, right? Like even I saw this comment from RFK. He and Trump are forming a coalition. And I heard an interview with RFK where he's like, hey, we don't agree on every issue. In fact, we have it in place to where we can still vocally criticize one another for things we disagree on, but we do have common ground on certain issues. Good. So Jerry calls in, gets on the air, and then point by point goes back and forth in a heated discussion with Gavin.
Wow.
It's one of the coolest things of all time.
I would love that.
Jerry didn't get mad, try to get Gavin fired, try to go behind his back. He called up and dealt with him on air about all the points he disagreed with and explained why he disagreed with him. That is the best thing you could ever have from an owner. Isn't that awesome? Like, if I'm a Cowboy fan and I hear that, I'm like, Jerry Jones is a badass. It's the greatest thing ever.
No, I love that. I love that. And why? You know what? That's the perfect way to do it, too. If you think a guy is wrong, call him on the air and straighten him out. That's the best way to handle it. Don't call his boss. What good does that do?
All right, we have the winner for our Take Me Up to the Ball Game contest, Godfather. We have tried to get the individual on the phones, but no access, probably because when you call someone from, I'm like this now, if I'm getting a phone call from a number I do not recognize, you know what I do?
You don't answer.
That's correct. And I love it, too, because the cell phone will notify you, likely a scam.
Yeah. I've seen that a few times.
I told you about that scam job. I finally, after 2 weeks, got my check card back, which is nice.
Good.
That company that somehow put a charge on my account that was fraudulent, I called them up to say, hey, why are you putting a charge on my account? They said, we can't locate your account. Please input your social security number.
Sure.
Yeah. Let me get
Hold
right on
on
that for
just
you.
a second. I'll do that.
Okay. Well, I want to give the winner props because the prize will include a pair of tickets to each game of the weekend homestand when the Mariners take on the Texas Rangers September 13th through the 15th at T-Mobile Park. You get 2 nights at Hotel 5, a Stay Pineapple Hotel with ordinary hotels in extraordinary locations. Say that 5 times fast. Fans can purchase their tickets to upcoming Mariner games at MLB.com/Mariners. Thank you to the Seattle Mariners for being a very good partner and stepping up to offer up tickets for back-to-back years for the contest. It's not too late to plan a trip to Seattle for a Mariners game this season at T-Mobile Park. For tickets, schedule, and more information, visit Mariners.com. They did take 2 out of 3 against San Francisco.
Yeah.
Props to Dan Wilson for sliding into the tough spot. Not that his team produced a lot of runs in that series.
They didn't. That got great pitching.
In that first game, I was looking at Dan Wilson on the TV. I thought, this guy's aging right before my eyes.
Yeah.
Can any of these guys hit? I'm surprised he didn't suit up and go player coach like Mike Dunleavy.
Well, he brought Edgar Martinez over with him, which was a really good move.
I saw a video online of Julio Franco taking some cuts. He could go help the Mariners right now.
Oh, man.
The guy.
He played till he was 49 years old.
He was older than that. They're lying about his age.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
probably 60. I love Julio Franco.
Yeah.
You liked him, too. He was a cool Brave.
Yeah. Well, probably one of the most unique stances ever to play Major League Baseball. I don't know how he got the bat around.
All right.
The oldest player to ever hit a home run, right?
Probably was.
I believe so, because I think he hit a home run when he was like 46, something like that. Impressive.
Oh, by the way, in reference to the Cowboy fans, Chris in Newburgh chimed in. He goes, hey, Chad, we've agreed on many things, such as the greatness of Steve Perry. However, I am a lifelong Cowboys fan. I'm not obnoxious, I promise. Chris in Newburgh. I just responded and said, I celebrate the fact that you're the lone Cowboys fan that's not obnoxious. And the fact that he told me he's not obnoxious tells me he's probably more obnoxious than most of the Cowboy fans out there. That text alone is obnoxious, is it not?
Well, I find it interesting that he wanted to let you know that he wasn't obnoxious.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. All right. The winner of the Take Me Up to the Ball Game contest is Amy Platt.
Yes! Booyah!
Nice.
Big hand from the studio audience.
All right, congratulations, Amy. We celebrate the fact that you are the winner of the contest. If you want to call in, 503-248-0620. It'd be great to talk with you and get your thoughts on this wonderful prize that you've just won. But I don't blame you for not answering the phone from a suspicious phone number because I wouldn't do it either.
But if you know her and you're friends with her, call her and tell her she won and that we would love to hear from her.
Hey, I did leave a voicemail, so they
Good.
knew.
Good.
Because to Chad's point, I'll ignore the call too, but I'll always check the voicemail.
All right. I just fired her a text, too. Not that anyone's going to respond to a text I said them.
I will say, you listen to your voicemails, Chris, that puts you ahead of a great many people now who don't.
I haven't listened to a voicemail in like 2 years.
Yeah, really?
I don't really listen. I just go to the text to speech that it puts in.
Yeah,
and just
that's what
read
I
it
do.
real quick and
Yeah.
read like the first sentence and can tell if it's a scam or not, and then I bounce out.
Why can't a phone do a better job of deciphering what I'm saying?
I can't.
Have you ever
answer
tried the speak to text?
that. No, I don't use that.
But why don't you use it?
Because it probably doesn't work, and I'd have to correct it. That's the problem. I don't want to have to go through again and check the spelling errors and all that crap.
All right, let me see the Mike Sando thing. By the way, the Raiders are getting ready to open up the season with, according to Mike Sando's list, the 25th best starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, well.
I saw that game against the Cowboys. The Raiders have no option at QB. Let's go out and talk with Raider Mike right now.
Good
Raider
idea.
Mike, welcome to the show, my friend. What's going on?
I don't want to talk about the Gardner snake. Mini Stabler. He'll be fine.
What is
He
your
almost
What's your
got to the
prognosis
Colts.
for the Raiders this year? Because you've been talking a lot of junk about the Raiders, and you know that they have no option at quarterback. Like, what's going to happen?
I just told you. We're going to be fine. We got Gardner Minshew. He took the Colts one drop pass from the playoffs last year, and they do not have the offensive weapons we do. They definitely don't have that Muppet King planting defensive line we have. So I'm fine. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about how I've showed up at your home golf course twice. First time, you said you had a bad back. Second time, you get on a jet to Vegas and don't show up.
What are you talking about?
The guy who runs we've had 2 golf dates, and you didn't show up for either.
No. We never talked to confirm the time beforehand. You showed up a second time?
Yes, we did. It's on tape.
I know, but it wasn't. The
Chad?
second time was not at Forest Hills.
Well, where the hell else would it be?
Well, it wasn't at Forest Hills. It was at Heron Lakes. But you never confirmed the spot. So I was waiting for you last Friday, but you didn't show up. I thought you knew
Okay.
because I was talking about it on the radio.
It's almost football season, Chad. Let's get this done this week. Name, the place, the time. I'm going to show up. You're wearing that jersey. You're paying for my round, and you're buying lunch.
Oh,
You know
boy.
the cops showed up the second time?
What do you mean the
The
cops showed up?
cops showed up at Forest Hills Golf Course.
Who?
The cops showed up?
Yes. Yes.
What cop
The
is that?
county sheriff.
But why'd they show up?
2 county. Because it went early. Because it was a 6:40 tee time.
But why would the cops show up?
Because, I don't know. They've had problems, is what they said.
Why
And I was the only vehicle in the parking lot.
Oh, they showed up because you just showed up in the parking lot.
Yeah.
But it
I'm
wasn't,
gonna-
it
I'm
wasn't
gonna,
because
you
no
know-
one called the cops on you because you were raising a scene.
Oh, no. I just showed up to get some sleep because it was 6 hours. I worked till
You're
11
sleeping in
that
the
night.
parking-
Yeah.
Oh, one of
Yeah,
those
you're
drifters.
an hour and 20 minutes from where I'm at. That golf course, anyway. So it's just like, no, I'm going to go get some sleep, get some putting in, and maybe I have a chance at getting close to you. You're going to kick my ass. You're out there shooting 80s.
No, it's not. But it's not about.
If I break 9, I'm happy.
It's not about who wins.
So
I'm not playing against you. I'm playing against
I know
the course.
it's about how much. No, it's about you wearing a DeMonte Adams jersey. That's where it is now.
All right. Well, I'm sorry that
I
you
love
showed
you,
up.
Chad.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Let's talk. And all right, Mike. I got you. We never confirmed the place. He showed up at a different golf course. And apparently the cop showed up because he was sleeping to get a nap in before the round early in the morning.
I could see where maybe that might be a problem way out there in the only car parked in the lot.
In Cornelius.
Yeah. You're from Portland, aren't you?
And you go by Raider Mike?
Yeah.
We can't have you sleeping in the parking lot, sir.
Yeah.
I just love the way he tells the story. Like, if he was telling the story of the Titanic, he's like, Chad, there was an iceberg.
But we never confirmed. I thought he knew it was Heron Lakes. I was waiting for him to show up last Friday. He never came, so I teed off.
I love it.
I didn't know he was sleeping in the parking lot at Forest Hills at the time.
Well, things happen. That's all. Things happen.
And you got to understand, I don't care what he shoots when we play. I'm not playing against Raider Mike.
Right.
For me, it's me against the course, which is plenty of competition right there.
You against the wristwatch.
The wristwatch.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And as long as I remember to put it on.
Do you forget? Really?
He did sound, one time I've forgotten, and I was playing the course blind. But he never answered the question about the Raiders. He knows his team is screwed with Gardner Minshew. In that division, Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes.
Real tough division.
And we're going to counter with Gardner Minshew, who did everything he could to lose the starting job in that preseason game against Dallas.
Yeah. Boy, that was grim. That was really grim. I remember the coach, Pierce, going on TV afterwards. It's like, yeah, it didn't turn out the way we were hoping it would. I thought he had a contest going, but it looked like both guys were throwing the contest.
It did.
Didn't it?
These guys don't want the job.
No, nobody wants to start for this team.
All right, we'll come back. We got to get into these quarterback tiers. Sean and Sandy, I guess, is upset with me too, so we'll talk with him. If you're upset with me, you can call and tell me. But more importantly, congratulations to our Take Me Up to the Ballgame winner. Amy Platt, you're going to Seattle.
Yes.
For the weekend series against Texas. You get 2 pairs of tickets for each game in the series. All 3 games, September 13th to the 15th at T-Mobile Park. A 2-night stay at Hotel 5, a Stay Pineapple Hotel with out-of-the-ordinary hotels and extraordinary locations. Love that hotel. And props to the Mariners. It's not too late to plan a trip to Seattle for a Mariners game this season at T-Mobile Park. For tickets, schedule, and more information, visit mariners.com. And, Amy, if you get to the ballpark early, you can just sleep in the parking lot. All right, we have some more goodies to give away. We have a 4-pack of tickets to see the Portland Thorns take on the Chicago Red Stars September 13th at Providence Park. We want you to have a good time, and thanks for listening to Rip City Radio. So if you'd like a 4-pack of tickets for the Portland Thorns for September 13th, fire away right now, 503-248-0620, 503-248-0620. Fire away with your phone calls right now, 503-248-0620. You'll get a 4-pack of tickets to see the Portland Thorns take on Chicago September 13th at Providence Park. Fire away, 503-248-0620. All right, Godfather. Let's see here. I just tried to call Raider Mike on his phone to set up the time for Friday, and he won't answer his phone. I called him like 3 times during the break. So Raider Mike showing up at places that we did not agree on ahead of time. We got to get the golf date set. Apparently, Sean and Sandy is upset with me because I lost some bet to him. I don't know what it was. We had our dinner set up. We were going to go to a Podna's over there in
You didn't go to that? I thought you guys did.
I can't remember if it was because they closed early on Mondays or whatever day we were set up. I can't remember, so we had to reschedule for a different time, and we haven't set up the time. So Sean wants to talk to me right now. Let's go out there before we get to Mike Sando's quarterback tiers. Sean and Sandy, welcome to the show. What can we do for you, my friend?
This Sandy, Oregon reaction.
Sandy, react to me. Do you want Thorns tickets? Sean and Sandy, are you a Thorns fan? Do you like soccer?
I actually won tickets about over a month ago. I'm going to the game this Friday. And it'll be my first soccer match I've ever been to in my life. I'm totally excited. We got 2 gold medal winners coming back from Paris. I'm totally stoked.
That's great.
And no, brother, I mean you're great. You're one of the best out there. You and the Godfather. It's just a wealth of knowledge the Godfather is here in Portland, Oregon, the state of Oregon sports, and it's just such an honor to listen to him. I mean, I soak it in all the time.
Thank you.
I just remember, like as a kid, I collected a newspaper and reading about Dwight James all the time, and how Dwight James is just historically. Dude, he is the godfather of journalism here in Oregon sports. And it's just an honor, brother. I just want to tell you that right now.
That's very kind of you. I appreciate that.
And although we don't agree on everything all the time, but we do most of the time, and I appreciate your honesty.
I don't agree with everybody, anybody, most of the time.
You know what I'd love to see? And honestly, I'd love to see you and John Canzano have some kind of a face-off where you guys just go back and forth. I'd love to see a back and forth with you guys sometime. I'd love to see that, dude. You'd chew him up to pieces.
Well, I don't know about that. I see John occasionally, and we very often agree on stuff. You'd be surprised.
I think you're just a little more quick-witted, and I just like your old country boy style of wit.
Yeah, most people think I'm a dimwit, but...
Are you a country boy?
No, no. I'm a city boy through and through.
Okay.
Even though I live in Canby. But let's talk about Chad for a while, shall we?
Let's not talk about Chad. We just need to set up a time to where we can get together and have dinner or lunch, Sean.
Anytime, brother. You know I'm there. In fact, I'm the one that told you I was concerned because I used to work at a restaurant, and we don't want customers, and I don't want to impose on anybody an hour before somebody's supposed to close. So we were supposed to meet there an hour before, and I'm like, hey, Chad, that's not really good, to show up an hour before somebody's trying to close up
because
the
they
kitchen.
close earlier on Mondays or whatever. Yeah, that's true. I'm the same way. I used to work in the restaurant biz, so I'm very cognizant of how those operations work and trying to be respectful.
God bless, brother. You call me anytime. Have a great night.
There you go. There's Sean and Sandy. He spent 3 minutes praising you and didn't say anything about me. That's cool.
I tried.
People do that at the meat shop all the time. Like we close at like 5:30, 6:30, depending on day, and they'll show up at 6:35.
Yeah.
Can I just get? All I want is my dinner, and you're like, the case is empty. We put it all back. Like our aprons are off. The door is locked. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then every single time you decide to be nice, and you're like, yeah, come on in.
Yeah.
Okay, I just needed my steaks for my dinner. Also, could I get 2 pounds of bacon,
Yeah.
3 pounds of
Side of beef. Yeah.
Next thing you know, 15 minutes later.
Yeah.
Hey, take care of them, though. Good customer service. But always just like, oh, come on. I'm ready to go home.
It's unbelievable to me that people do that. But you're right. The
Yeah.
ones that you let in to give a little beneficial treatment to, they cause you the most pain.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a quick in and out. It's like, no, let me just get a little bit of everything here. And then you're like, but if you're a business owner like Mr. Butcher is, you want to cater to everyone. You got to be careful.
The ones I don't like, Chad, are the ones that say, well, we're open from, say, whatever. We close at midnight.
Yeah.
Okay, you go by, it's 11:30, and they're closed. Bang on the door. I thought you were open until midnight. Well, yeah, but nobody was here, so we closed early.
Yeah.
That isn't the way it works.
No, you should be open during the hours you say you're going to be open.
That's right.
Now, my Uncle Roy, who had the donut shop in Oklahoma, everyone knew that they were open early until all the donuts were sold.
Sure. There's barbecue places in Texas, big-time barbecue places. They're open until the meat's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, Dwight and I have been to a few
Yeah,
where you got
we
to get
have.
there before they're sold out.
Yeah.
So you just know it's like we got to get there early before they sell out.
Yep.
Because once they sell out, that is officially closing time.
And that's fair. I'm good with that.
You know what would be helpful, Dwight, is, you walk up to a place, it would be helpful if it says closes at midnight, kitchen closes at 11. Like,
Right.
give me the time when your kitchen closes. That's what I care about.
Yeah. But tell Chad where the best barbecue we ever found was.
Adamson Barbecue in Toronto, Canada.
That's true.
It was the best.
It was really good.
Who would have thought you'd go to Canada to find the best barbecue of all time?
We never thought so, but how many times did we end up going? We were there 3 or 4 times.
Oh,
weren't we?
yeah, I think I went to Toronto at least twice with you, and each time we hit it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
good.
It was so good.
All right, 531 Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad. Mike Sando in The Athletic has got his new report out that he does every year, his quarterback tiers, which are separated into 4 different tiers. So if you want to know, everyone talks about, oh, that guy's elite, this guy's elite. Well, go to Sando's piece in The Athletic because he talks to coaches, GMs, all the personnel in the NFL to come up with this list. And they do like silent ballots where they cast them and they rank all the quarterbacks and stuff. And here's a quick write-up he has on this year's edition. The top tier, and this is Mike Sando, Athletic. The top tier is always exclusive territory when 50 NFL coaches and executives have their say in quarterback tiers each summer. That exclusivity has reached another level this year. Led by the incomparable Patrick Mahomes, only 3 players achieved Tier 1 status when balloting for the 11th annual survey was finished. That's the lowest number since 2016, but with a crop of younger players rising, there's a potentially bright future for the elite ranks. The Baltimore Ravens' Lamar Jackson reached new heights. The Green Bay Packers' Jordan Love and San Francisco 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy made massive jumps. The Houston Texans' C.J. Stroud set a new standard for a second-year quarterback. You can see the largest risers and fallers in the graphic below. The 2024 QB tiers results are here, complete with commentary from the 50 NFL coaches and executives who were granted anonymity to share candid evaluations. The panel consisted of 7 general managers, 8 head coaches, 12 coordinators, 12 executives, 8 assistant coaches, and 3 involved in coaching/analytics. Each voter placed 30 veteran quarterbacks into 5 tiers from the best Tier 1 to the worst Tier 5. Quarterbacks were then ranked by average vote and placed into tiers based on vote distribution, beginning with Mahomes, whose 1.00 average vote reflected his status as the only unanimous Tier 1 selection. No QBs landed in Tier 5, although some received Tier 5 votes. The survey excludes rookies because voters have not seen them play in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 3 quarterbacks in the top tier. Patrick Mahomes is number 1. You don't disagree with that, do you, Godfather?
No.
Okay, here's the write-up on Mahomes. And I love this because it really explains his greatness. Mike Sando on Mahomes. Voters have placed Mahomes in the top tier on 249 of 250 ballots over the past 5 seasons, including all 150 over the past 3. Quote, is there a 0 category above Tier 1, a defensive coordinator asked. What more is there to say about Mahomes? Quote, last year there was so much adversity with the drops, the Kadarius Toney issues, the lack of guys being able to uncover and separate. An offensive coach said, you knew as a competitor he was frustrated, but I watched him just battle and grind it out and not make excuses and dig in. I think he is an extremely tough human being. A lot of people could have been pissed and bitched if they had that happen. The whole thing could have unraveled. If Tom Brady remains the GOAT, Mahomes is closing the gap. Quote, I know people who were taking Philly or San Francisco in the Super Bowl, a defensive coordinator said, dude, they're playing Mahomes. You take Mahomes, he's like Tom Brady when Brady was in his prime. You can't bet against the dude because he's the best in the business. An offensive coordinator had Mahomes as his only Tier 1 QB this year. Quote, the only player to win big with a bad defense, the coordinator said. The 2022 Chiefs won the Super Bowl while being ranked 29th in combined EPA on defense and special teams. The 2019 and 22 Chiefs had the worst combined postseason EPA on defense and special teams of any Super Bowl winners since at least 2000, according to True Media. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
He gets the job done.
No argument about that.
That's really what it comes down to. A Tier 1 quarterback, according to Sando, can carry his team each week. The team wins because of him. He expertly handles pure passing situations and has zero holes in his game. That's what a true Tier 1 is. Wins games on his own, has no holes in his game. Second-ranked quarterback behind Mahomes, Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, you and I have debated Burrows. The only concerns listed about Burrows in the write-up by Sando were the injury concerns.
That was my concerns. That's like when you talk about a guy you want to build around, I would have concerns about that because he's been hurt so much. There are a couple of very telling points in here from one of them from a defensive coach who's faced Burrow multiple times. You love everything about him, but at some point physically, his body is going to fail. And then somebody else says they are anxious to see how the ball comes off his hand this year because he's had injuries to his legs, and then he had that surgery on his wrist. They're concerned about, his throwing arm after a while.
In regards to his game, a head coach said he's definitely a 1. He is an accurate touch passer with anticipation, but they got to be careful. He is getting hurt on his throwing arm. You have injuries to your legs like he's had. That will affect your arm. I'm curious to see how he comes off the ball, how the ball comes out of his hand this year.
Yeah.
So my whole point with Burrow is I'll take the injury argument, but don't try to tell me that there's quarterbacks better than him outside of Mahomes. When it comes to just QB play, he does everything you want. He wins from the pocket. He's accurate. He's a great leader. He understands the offense. And few guys, except for 2, are in his category. That's how good he is. But people they take injuries and they apply it to other aspects of his game, and I don't like that. Does he have injury history? Yes. But when healthy, he's as good as it gets.
Right. It'll be interesting to see how, if he is 100% back after that surgery.
But you told me the other day you would take freaking Purdy over Burrow.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy.
I like Purdy.
I know, but he's not Joe Burrow in terms of
Tier
talent,
2,
ability.
right behind him.
Well, he's not right behind him. He's Tier 2, but there's a large separation between Tier 1 and Tier 2. All right, third quarterback on the list, not a surprise, but Josh Allen. And you have no arguments with that. You like Josh.
I like Josh Allen a lot.
He's good. He's really good, even without, Brian Daboll. He's been terrific. It says here, Allen, like Burrow, landed in Tier 1 for a third consecutive year. He commanded 5 fewer Tier 1 votes this year compared to last, but remains solidly within the group. Quote, for me, Mahomes and Josh Allen are the 2 guys right now that people are the most afraid of to play, a head coach said. They do not go in and say they are afraid to go play Joe Burrow. Maybe this is just from a playmaking standpoint. I think Joe is great, but these 2, Mahomes and Allen, put teams on their backs and win. The difference between Burrow compared to like Allen and Mahomes is that freaky movement when plays break down and the arm strength to whip it anywhere down the field.
Yeah, I think in toughness, too, be able to take hits and still get up and function.
It's crazy. So big props to them. Elsewhere, Godfather, in regards to the tiers, let's see here. We go into tier number 2, and at the top of tier number 2 is the one and only Lamar Jackson, the 4th-ranked quarterback. I've got no problem with that. I mean, he was terrific last year, making tremendous strides in his game. He jumped up big in Sando's tier. I think what people remember the most is that playoff game against the Chiefs in the AFC title game where they stopped running the football. They asked him to drop back and throw it, and he failed miserably.
Right.
And the big mark on him or the big knock on him will always be, can he win the game with accuracy, putting the ball on target on time in a situation where the running game's not there? Or the offensive coordinator just decides not to run the football. But outside of that, great leader, works hard, great teammate, beloved in Baltimore. And in terms of a dynamic athlete, we haven't seen too many guys like him at the position.
Yeah, I think the playoff history with him, too, is something that probably bothers some people.
Here is what an offensive coach said, quote, he's a fantastic dual-threat guy. He's explosive, dangerous. This past year with new Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken, I thought he took a big step and became a passer. To me, it was so different from the previous years. And then here's another one. Quote, I just think putting an MVP of this league in Tier 2 as being on some quarterback high horse of what we think it's supposed to look like, a voter who placed Jackson in Tier 1 said. Yeah, he doesn't look like all the other traditional big-time quarterbacks.
Right.
Because he doesn't play like them. I'm just a big fan of him, and I'm hoping with the jumps he made in Monken's system this past year, I'm anxious to see what type of jump he'll make in this season. We'll give you some more quarterbacks and more tiers. We'll tell you about Brock Purdy and what they said about him. Where is Justin Herbert at? It looks like there's a tie at number 5 with Herbert and Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers still in the top 10, solidly in tier number 2. C.J. Stroud with a tremendous leap from year 1 to year 2. Dak Prescott, surprisingly, Godfather, number 9 in tier 2 solidly. Jerry Jones is going to have to pay him, too.
He's going to command top drawer salary.
What surprised you most with the list?
I kind of thought that Lamar would be a tier 1 guy after last season. I really did. He wouldn't be for me because I like the passers. You know, I'm not the multidimensional guys don't appeal to me as much. And he's been hurt. He's paid the price for running the football the way he does. He's a great runner, but, you know, he does you no good if he's not healthy.
Well, I like multidimensional guys that can throw it like Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes can run and throw it. Greatly.
Yeah, but Mahomes doesn't go down like this guy does. This guy gets hurt.
Well, that's true. Lamar's not good at sliding.
Yeah.
A lot of quarterbacks aren't. You ever seen Justin Herbert try to slide? What the heck's he doing?
No, I've seen him slide okay.
Yeah, not greatly, though. Lamar, Justin Herbert, like, they're just some guys that – why don't you go teach these quarterbacks how to do a baseball slide and get their ass down?
And that's what Justin Herbert was a really good baseball player. I mean, he could have been a pro. He was a good baseball player.
I think what happens, too, with some of these quarterbacks, they're trying to be a hero out there.
Well, I think that's the trouble with Herbert is he's big and strong, and rather than slide, sometimes he gets kind of caught where he thinks he can get an extra yard or something.
Well, Elway did that sometimes, too, and he got hurt because of it. Trying to take on defenders. It's like, dude, I understand that you're big and bad, but just slide your ass out of bounds.
He got turned into a helicopter. What are you talking in a famous game.
All right, we'll keep things rolling. We'll come back. We'll talk Brock Purdy and give the breakdown. He made a tremendous leap in the tiers for Sando. All right, Mike Sando with his yearly quarterback tiers is out. Here's what he says about Brock Purdy, who is a Tier 2 quarterback now and made a tremendous leap. He jumped 2 tiers, Godfather. And here's what his write-up says about Purdy. He said, Purdy rose 13 spots from 2023, tying Jordan Love for the largest jump from last year. His 2.32 average vote is the best for a 49ers quarterback in tiers history. Colin Kaepernick had a 2.50 average in 2014. Quote, when they have had to move the ball via drop-back pass, that has been the difference between him and Jimmy Garoppolo. A head coach said, Purdy has done it, and he's done it in moments where he had to pull the ball down against Detroit and go get a first down with his legs. He has an innate feel. He has proven even when it's not going well, he's a quarter away from clicking in, and you better have a lead when he does. Rough games against Baltimore and Cleveland were exceptions. Quote, the system really helps him, but he maximizes it. A defensive coordinator said, I'm not saying he's Kurt Warner, but he reminds me of that type of body. Not big, but a great arm. Not a great arm, but he's accurate. He knows when to get rid of the ball. He's sharp. He's a little bit better athlete than you think. Warner had even better talent around him while he was with the Rams. Quote, I honestly could debate calling Brock a 1, an offensive play caller said. He is really underrated. Kyle Shanahan deserves a ton of credit, but there still has to be somebody at the switch. The 16 voters placed Purdy in Tier 3 gave more credit to Shanahan and a strong supporting cast. Quote, I would slide him into the top of 3, an assistant GM said. I'm not sold that it is a universal skill set for varying systems, but for their system and their offense, they greatly capitalize on what his abilities are. That is a credit to the coaching staff. And that's what they had to say about Brock Purdy.
That's fair.
I mean, for being the last guy taken in the draft, that's pretty good to jump 13 spots and be up in tier number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think everything he's gotten there, he's had to earn because of where he was drafted. Nobody handed him a thing, you know, and so I give him a lot of credit for that. He had to work pretty hard because coming in, who would have ever given him a shot at even playing?
The problem is when they pay him big money, then all of a sudden that's going to come with greater expectation.
Absolutely is. No question about it.
And the question is, do you pay a Tier 2 quarterback $65 million?
Well, there's a few other ones in Tier 2 that are going to get that kind of money.
And some that already have. Jordan Love got paid.
Yeah.
Tua got paid.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dak's going to get some money. What about Lawrence? God, what is he? Tier 3?
Tua and Lawrence are at the top of Tier 3.
They're getting paid, too.
And those are two guys, Trevor and Tua, that I think have a chance to climb.
They're coming off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tua's coming off a big year. He made a big jump. But for Trevor Lawrence, he had a down year last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big year for Lawrence to prove that he's worth the dollars.
Yeah, and I think he is, too.
Big props to Justin Myers and Brendan Slaughter. Thanks to Chris Burkhardt for running the show. We'll be back tomorrow. Amy Platt, congratulations on winning Take Me Up to the Ball Game. Godfather, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, Chad.